Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Canadian Thanksgiving to everyone who celebrates Canadian Thanksgiving like yours truly. It's a long weekend. Woohoo. This is Griever, guys. What's going on today? This is not going to be anything special. I'll explain my reasons for doing this stream in a bit. But at the end of the day, I'm just here. I got about an hour or so to spare, and I figured instead of trying to edit and come up with a video and all that fun jazz, that's the long and short of it. It's like, all right, I couldn't think of something to come up with, so this live stream is open to the Discord chat. We might have some technical difficulties at first, but anybody in my Discord who wants to jump in and chat on stream here live with me, you're more than welcome to pop in. This stream has no theme, no, structure whatsoever, goddamn ever, as you guys can tell. So this is just going to be me rambling probably for the most part, and when people want to jump in and say hi. It's pretty much her. MC Dude's already in here, says Happy Canadian Thanksgiving to you as well. Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much. See, I celebrate both because I'm a football fan. And I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan. So, I mean, it's a, that's a thing. That's a thing for sure. Yeah, so I sent out a quick message to everyone who wants to jump into the chat. Hopefully this works. I forget how I used to do this with Keishan, so we're gonna see how that goes. Yeah. Oh,
Griever, are you there?
Oh, there's Tenryo. Tenryo's in here. What's up, man? How's it going?
Yeah, everything's going really swell. How about you, man?
Pretty good. Pretty good. I mean, just sitting here chilling on a long weekend. Got a lot of shit to do, but I found myself a couple of spare hours, right? How about you?
Yeah, I'm pretty much doing really not much these days. So I was actually waiting for the time where you will actually kind of say, hey, there's going to be like a Discord chat. Everyone can jump in because, since you don't have too many people in your Discord, it's a lot easier to interact with your followers and stuff like that. It's not like, King of Lightning, like he has too many followers, so it's a lot more difficult to interact with so many people, you know? It's an advantage, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Like, there's like pros and cons with that. Like right now, like I'd like to be like a higher subscriber base, like the King of Lightning, Rogers based Tekkings of the world, right? But at the same time, you wouldn't be able to interact. Like I interact with every single commenter, every single subscriber. I interact with everybody, So
Yeah,
there is that pro to that, to be small time, right?
absolutely. I 100% agree.
Yeah,
And so yeah, it's really good that you actually found the time to do it right now, because it helps ease the pain that there's no One Piece tomorrow and stuff like that.
Yeah, actually, we might as well get into that right now. I opened up with that saying Happy Thanksgiving to Canadians and fucking, that kind of shit. But the reason I'm doing this is I was sitting at my computer right now for the last, like, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes being like, okay, I got a couple hours. Let's get a video out because I know I'm not going to get one out tomorrow. Tomorrow is our that's when we do the dinner, the family, the whole bit. I know I'm not going to be making any videos tomorrow. So I'm like, all right, I got to make something. And I'm sitting there going, every single project I have on the go is like a lengthy, like a day-long thing of editing, of playing with, and I'm trying to get a video out today. So, in all honesty, the stream was basically like a whole... I got literally nothing else. Like, I have no idea what to make right now, because as you said, like, One Piece isn't coming out tomorrow, which is fine, but at the same breath, it's like that means I'm basically going to have very little content over the weekend, and I was just sitting there like, I got to do something, right? All my big things, I want to do like Shumatsu Valkyrie character discussions, and I want to go into an in-depth discussion about Eren Yeager from Attack on Titan, and I want to do a Magi discussion. But these are long, like 30, 40-minute videos that I'm gonna have to edit and play with and get the right images, and I'm not exactly the most practiced actor, so like I do 5 minutes of recording, go fuck, I don't like that, erase next, so I realized I couldn't do much. So, but yeah.
Yeah, you don't yeah, you don't always have to do like videos like that whenever you feel like I have to put something out there. So sometimes it's like, okay, let me just make like a Discord chat and we can just talk with whoever wants to jump in and stuff like that, because you get to learn about your followers more, better than just in a comment section, for example. That's just
Absolutely.
how I look at it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why it kind of jumped into my head. I was like, I'll just do a stream here and I'll just, spend 40 minutes or whatever, just do something just to get some, because that's one of my biggest problems sometimes is I've noticed that the algorithms for YouTube are not kind to people who aren't consistent. So I notice a huge drop if there's nothing to produce for like 3 or 4 days. I notice a drop in view count when I start producing more videos. So
Yeah,
knowing that,
that's why I don't want to
you
be a
know,
YouTuber, honestly, because honestly, I have to be way too consistent, and it would be too stressful, honestly, and I don't want it to feel like a chore. I want it to be fun. So yeah, and I will honestly, if I was to do like YouTube, I would be too obsessed probably, because I would want to, like, I don't know, get invited to the reveries and stuff like that. Because I remember the last one that they had, it was actually pretty good. It Rogers Beast actually hosted a reverie not so long ago. I don't know if you saw it, honestly. It was pretty long. It was like a 5-hour stream.
yeah, I haven't caught up with that one. I was very big into the Reverie and stuff like that, but I'm actually super behind. Like I'm so busy myself right now that I'm behind on watching other YouTubers and catching up. But I do have that in my to watch list and everything. So, but yeah, no, I completely agree. And we got
I mean,
Chubb's jumped in here, which is cool. Say hi, Chubb.
What's up?
Oh, Chubb's in
Hey.
here. And also, just a
Yep.
quick shout out to the chat. I'm going to read the chat here really quick so I don't get too far behind. Just making sure, chat, make sure that I did the inputs on OBS right, because as for all I know, I'm sitting here talking to myself, according to the stream. So I hope that the Discord chat is coming through the live stream on YouTube. So if you guys could let me know that, that'd be great. And really quick, we had Chubb actually say, what manga have I been reading? I've been reading Death Note and Full Metal Alchemist. Great choices, Chubb. Misk
Yep.
says he'll join later. Chubb also says he'll jump in once I'm done eating. All right, perfect. And Misk says, dude,
Yep.
doing a character or just general Shimatsu discussion sounds like a great idea for a stream. Yeah, I'm still planning on doing sort of character discussions of only the characters that we've actually seen thus far. So all the combatants first, and then I might jump into guys that we have sort of enough information about, like Odin or Loki or Buddha, that kind of stuff. So, but yeah. So, anyways, so what's and oh, to answer Chubb's question, what have I been reading lately? Well, I just reread Shaman King. Because it's coming out again next year, and I'm pumped. And other than that, I finished. I'm still trying to get through Hunter x Hunter. I'm finding it a little difficult, to be honest. I don't really get why people stand it as well. I shouldn't say that. I understand why people stand it, but why they think it's better than Naruto, Bleach, One Piece, Toriko, all the other classic, 90s to 2000 shonens, I have no idea. Like, it's no better or worse than any of those. It's all shonen tropes, stereotypes, tournament arcs. I haven't found the super special element yet. But to be fair, I'm only in the Greed Island arc, and I hear there's, like, the Greed Island arc is really good, and I hear that there's an arc after that that's apparently really good, something about ants or something. Anyway, so I do know that there's more to this story, and I'm only on, like, there's like 400 chapters right now, and I'm only a quarter of the way through, so I'm giving it its chance. But I gotta say, the beginning was sort of really tough to get through. So, but yeah, so that's what I'm into thus far.
Yeah. Gonna get flamed for that opinion.
Mm.
Honestly, the thing is that Hunter x Hunter is much better experience through the reboot anime. Honestly, that's the thing. And that's my opinion. That's how I consumed it. I watched the whole anime, and then after I got to the end of the anime, I jumped to the manga, which is painful because of all the breaks. But I still want to read it because Hunter x Hunter is like one of the only two classic series in the Weekly Shonen Jump running right now, aside from One Piece. So that's something that's a big deal, and I want to be up to date with that. And it's like one of my favorite series of all time, but the breaks really do hurt my soul. It's been almost 2 whole years since the last chapter came out.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's why I haven't read it either.
yeah, I'm a chub on that one. Like that was the reason I didn't read that or Berserk for the longest time, which Berserk's also on my list to read. But one of the big things, I'm just gonna say it right now, is what at the end of the day you have, as you said, as Tenryo just said, you have Hunter x Hunter and you have One Piece. They're the last of the classic ones that are still ongoing. What pisses me off, sort of idea. I shouldn't say pisses me off, just makes me like question where the cutoff is that how many shonens, especially Shonen Jump, do you know have been axed prematurely and then we have that rushed shitty shonen ending? So many. You know, you got the fairy tales, you got Toriko, you got Bleach, you got Naruto, so many, right? Even big names and small.
I'm,
So what I don't
I can
understand
focus
is how
all
can all these, how can ones like Berserk and Hunter x Hunter go on hiatus for like 2 years? Here's two chapters, then they go for another 2 years, and they're still serialized. They're still technically there. It's like you're really telling me you couldn't have given Kubo another 8 months to finish Bleach properly? Really? Meanwhile, Hunter x Hunter hasn't seen a chapter in 2 years, but you're not going to give Kubo like 6 more months? Like really? Like that I really want to understand. I know that's the politics and that's like beyond the actual manga, but it's very interesting to me how some series can do that, do the hiatus thing and be fine, and other ones are basically like, nope, nope, we're cutting it. We're not giving you enough time. You've made us millions of dollars, but no. Like,
Yeah, I don't get that.
yeah.
I still believe that Kakubo was just too sick to continue the series. He's been doing it for like 15 years, so he's gonna be like, okay, I just want to be done. So there's always that possibility. Honestly, I really don't want to say that. Oh, he was too rushed to finish the story because I feel like that's just putting all the blame on one party. And I'm like, I want to be fair to both parties and say, okay, there's the possibility that Kubo just wanted to end it, and maybe he can have another chance at fixing it with the anime, which is the only reason why I want to watch the anime adaptation because I honestly hated the last arc in the manga. I fucking
Mm-hmm.
despised it. But if Kubo does take advantage of the anime to fix a lot of the problems, I'm gonna be like, you know what, Kubo, very good. I'm glad I actually checked out the anime again because that's the reason why when the news came out that Bleach was coming back, I was like, I wish I was excited for this because Bleach is one of the most important anime franchises for me. But I hated the last arc, so I can't really be excited about the adaptation. I can't be hypocritical and say, oh yeah, I criticized the last arc all this time, so I'm gonna be excited about it. No, I can't do that. I have to be true to myself. But I rationalized it and I said, all right, if they fix the promise of the manga, I will watch it. Especially because you know what, I'm actually kind of in a Bleach mood lately, so I'm like, okay, I'll I'll watch it and I'm gonna be fair. If there's one thing people cannot say about me is that I am unfair. That's not true. I give everything a chance because I want to be pleasantly surprised.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So what Griever said about the rushed endings, the only one that really hurts above all else is Toriko. Absolutely. That anime ruined all the potential. I think it was the anime that just destroyed it.
Well, let's just Toriko, let's go on the Bleach topic again, just really quick. One of the things is that we know that Kubo was axed. That's just a fact. It didn't come from he was in poor health, but he did get the axe. Now, if he was in poor health, why couldn't he have gone on a 4 month hiatus like so many other series do? Right? If that were the case, would have just did a hiatus, but it didn't happen.
Or like Hunter x
Um,
Hunter.
Right, like Hunter x Hunter, perfect example. So we all know, and also if you read some of the lines, especially the last chapter, Kubo speaks through Shusui, basically being like, you rushed this old mountain man who didn't have enough time and all that stuff, right? That was Kubo basically sort of like Da Vinci gave the finger to the Catholic Church in all his paintings. Kubo was doing the same thing to Shonen Jump, being like, you rushed me way too much at the end. And you can tell when it happened. Teki made a video on this one. King of Lightning made a video on this one. I haven't myself yet, but I probably will when we get to the redone anime, is that you can tell right away, all of a sudden, we have Bankai, 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 end of series. He had to show, oh shit, I gotta show Shushui's Bankai, which Shushui's Bankai, that was planned. But then all of a sudden, it was like, oh shit, I'm being axed, so he had to go Kenpachi, Kisuke, and I have to end the series right quick. Like, you can't tell me that Kubo didn't want Aizen and Yuha Bach to have a super fight. Like, they were supposed to have an on-screen better fight. There was supposed to be a better ending. There was supposed to be more clever shit going on. Ishin and Uryu's father, they did nothing in the end of the day. You can't tell me they weren't, like Kubo had a way bigger plan. He meant to go for like 700 plus chapters, and it just didn't happen because they rushed him too far, right? So you can tell, literally, it wasn't that the arc was rushed. It's that you can tell right there, halfway through the Shusui versus that owl dude fight, I forget his name, that's when all of a sudden the news came down, because you can clearly see, I forget what chapter number it specifically is, but you can see where the pacing just goes, boom. It's like, boom, 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 boom. And it's like, whoa, 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 where are we going? Where are we going? And they were jumping all over. Like, the pacing completely changed, and you could tell. And that's when the announcement came down like 3 weeks later. So you know that something went down, and that's just really unfortunate.
Well, yeah, those are good points, but I've talked about this with my cousin, who's also like a big Bleach fan, and we were like, okay, yeah, even if he was rushed, I feel like Kubo could have handled all the story elements better, because I don't think it's a good idea to leave all the dangling plot threads for one single arc where you had to balance it all out with fight upon fight upon fight. And a lot of these fights are meaningless because they don't really do much for the characters, or just wasting time having the villains just pull new powers just to keep the fight going on longer and stuff like that. This is even a problem I have with One Piece at times, where Oda likes to drag out the mysteries a lot, and it's like, okay, so it can kill the pacing a little when you have to also do a lot of fights, which is why Oda really can't do fights anymore. I mean, look at what happened with Nekomamushi and Inuarashi versus Jack, where Oda just can't draw the fight because the arc would go on too long.
I mean,
and that's
I'll go.
That one hurt.
Yeah, and I'll go on with what you said right there, because honestly, and not trying to call you out or anything, Tenryo, but I'm not going to call it hypocritical, but you realize what you just said. You basically just said that Bleach is like, okay, you're focused on the fights. Now you have One Piece, basically everyone, like right now in Wano, everybody's complaining that the fights are being skipped or being rushed to get to the actual story points. What you just said about Bleach was there was plot threads to tie up, and he was focused on the fights. So it's funny, depending on where you are in the story and depending on where you are, you'll have a different opinion, because you're basically saying you wanted what One Piece is doing right now in Bleach, and you want what Bleach did in One Piece. And it's just kind of like you wanted to see more fights in One Piece like Bleach did, but you wanted the plot elements that Oda does so well in One Piece in Bleach. I get that, and I'm not saying that one way, like, One Piece is not like God. It's not perfect. No manga. Well, Fullmetal Alchemist is pretty perfect, but that's beside the point. The point is that at the end of the day, you need to balance things. The problem is that when you rush somebody, like, fights had already started. Like, if I'm in the middle, let's just say, for example, right now, Oda got the axe. You have till the end of 2021 to finish One Piece. Imagine how much shit would be skipped right now, or take a middle of any final arc of any shonen, take any of them, take Fullmetal Alchemist, take Death Note, take whatever you want, and tell them that you have basically, you got 20 chapters left, go. No way that's going to end good. Not even Oda, there's not a writer out there. I would be I would be amazed if Tolkien himself, greatest writer of all time, could actually come up with a good ending in 20 weeks. Like, seriously, in 20 weeks for, that dude wrote that thing from the World War One all the way to the 40s. That's how long it took him to write 3 books. So, like, I mean, they're the best books of all time. What's that, Tenure?
What's really funny about that is that Toriko had more skipped content and it still had a better ending than Bleach. So
absolutely. But the thing about honestly,
I can't believe that it still had a better ending, and there was supposed to be like a space arc and all that stuff, but yet the ending felt more cohesive and all that stuff. I mean, I don't get how that works, honestly. Shimabukuro, I don't know how he did it, honestly.
Some people are far better at that sort of pressure, and they can figure it out. That being said, the reason Toriko was lucky in a sense, because when they got the axe, he was in the middle of, we're going to each area, we're going to get each ingredient of the full course, and we're going to fight each of the 8 kings sort of idea, or they'll be involved. Thankfully, right around the time they basically said you have a year, he was able to basically go, okay, I'm going to skip all this shit and get to the final battle right now. And that way the pacing of the final battle wasn't off. King of Lightning complains about it, and I complained about it when I saw it, is that we're going to skip, seeing, we had 50 chapters getting one of the full course, of the planet's full course. And now we're going to get 5 of them off screen. So you can't say that Toriko's ending was bad. Or it wasn't bad, but it was poorly paced because they did so much hype for years about this full course, and we got 2 of the items, and then all of a sudden it was we're gonna off-screen 5 of them. That's basically the off-screening that Oda does, or the off-screening that Kubo does. And it was just so subtly done in the background, and everyone was so, because what happened in Toriko was we have hype. Because here's Jiro, here's Setsuno, here's Midora, here's the big bad boys that you always wanted to see in combat, going in combat. Nobody gave a shit about how off-screen bullshit the plot was until they go back and go, well, fuck, that was rushed as hell. So I think that's part of the... Toriko did it, the writer, the manga for Toriko did it very well, very subtly, but looking back on it, if you reread it right now and you're not in that week-to-week hype, you'll see holy shit, what happened? The pacing just went from 0 to 150,
I want to take advantage of this opportunity to actually say this. When Toriko was actually in its final stages, where I was actually starting to dislike the series, that's exactly what I felt with you, Griever, when it came to 7 Deadly Sins, where you were I'm actually starting to hate 7 Deadly Sins, but then when it ended, you said that you actually liked the series again. But with Toriko, with me, it took me around 4 years for me to be you know what? I actually miss Toriko. But yeah, I actually felt the same thing you did with 7 Deadly Sins. That's how I felt with Toriko when it was reaching the last stages. The chapter where they were skipping a lot of areas and we were just getting the items off panel, that's the chapter that ruined the series for me, honestly, because that's the strength of Toriko, the world building and the adventure, and we're not getting any of that just to get the final arc. I know that that's not Shimabukuro's fault, but I was just looking at the manga for what it was giving me. That's how I look at things.
Yep, but, absolutely. We're going to just jump into the chat right quick. Yep. We're going to jump into the chat right quick and see what MC Dude has been saying here, saying that Hunter x Hunter was innovative in the age where Naruto was the biggest thing ever. Hunter x Hunter also continued to run past Naruto, which it inspired. Well, I mean, it ran past it because it was on hiatus longer than it was running, but okay. MC also says, I think you'll find the series gets more modern, ambitious, or even innovative the more you catch up. The problem is you'll get closer and closer to the hiatus. That's very true. As I said, I'm not judging it yet. I will say the whole Killua Gon thing makes no goddamn sense. People praise it like that was ripped off of Shaman King and with the Ren Yo thing, the whole Killua Gon thing. and it made no goddamn sense at the time. I'm just gonna say, because Gon shows up, he's like, "Oh, you're Killua. What's your name?" "I'm Killua. I'm an assassin, and I hate you." "Okay." And then literally, "I'm gonna go save him because he's my best friend in the whole world." There was literally no build up to their being friends. They literally spoke for 5 minutes in a maze, and then all of a sudden they were friends. It really read very. Maybe there's a lot more filler in the anime to flesh out that relationship, which is fine. But I found it really like, okay, I just have to accept that these two random guys who just met are best friends for life. You know, if it sort of reminded me of the Dragon Ball Z abridged thing where Goku shows up at Namek and goes, "Vegeta, we're friends now, right? Fuck off." The best. Because that's literally what happened in Dragon Ball Z. All of a sudden, Goku and Vegeta were basically working together, and it made no goddamn sense relatively. Like, yeah, we have to fight Frieza, but why were they getting along, and why did Vegeta all of a sudden not want to kill all the humans after? Like, why didn't he blow up Earth again, like, after that? Why was he starting to be a good guy again? I mean, Bulma, I guess, but that was later, so... Like, it was very rushed. It didn't make sense then. That was 30 years ago, and now it still doesn't make sense now. So, anyways, just got to catch up here. For reference, I believe the arc from the 2011 adaptation that everyone drools over finished in 2009. Okay, in the manga. So I'm assuming, is that ant arc? What's that arc called? I don't know. Anyways, yeah.
I think it's the Chimera Ant arc, possibly.
Chimera Ant, thank you. Yes, yeah. That's the one everyone praises.
Fucking incredible arc.
Okay, good to know, good to know. I will say this. I don't mind. I have been enjoying it right now. Like, I don't mind it now. But I think it had an extremely rocky start that made very little sense. I'm just going to say that. Like, I've read a lot of mangas like Rave Master and Fairy Tail started off way more consistent and better world building than Hunter x Hunter. Hunter x Hunter had zero world building at the beginning. They're just like, "Oh, we're hunters. Okay, what's a hunter? Dunno. Okay, I'm gonna be one. Okay, and then I'm gonna jump on a boat. Auntie, who's my mother, who's not my mother. Okay, bye. All right, bye. And then it's a fake Hunter exam. It's not the real Hunter exam. Wait, what the? I got zero. Like, I am not invested in Gon. I'll tell you that right now. I'm 114 chapters in. I'm invested in characters, not Gon. Gon's character is one-dimensional. He literally, I still don't get his motivation. His dad doesn't want to see him. He's like, "I'm going to go find my dad." I don't know why. I just want to. I want to become a hunter. Not because of him, but I still want to go find my dad. Like, make up your mind, dude. Are you becoming a hunter because you want to go see your dad, or did you become a hunter of your own free will? Which is it? Pick one. And why do you want to go see your dad? You even, like, literally after you listen to the tape with the Greed Island thing, he goes, "Yeah, no, I don't really give a shit about my dad or clues or whereabouts, but let's go try to find him." Well, what? Like, maybe I'm missing the grand scheme of things with his character, but so far I find his character very one-dimensional. But Hunter x Hunter has some great characters, so there is that.
Yeah, one of the strengths of Hunter x Hunter is the characters, honestly, because of how morally gray the world is. You know, there's really no grand rule of good or evil and stuff like that. It's not really preachy in that sense. It's not like in other series where you get a clearer picture of what kind of morality this world is being directed towards to. So Hunter x Hunter doesn't really do that kind of stuff. The characters just do whatever they feel is just best for them. And Gon is, yeah, he's a good example of that kind of rule. And yeah, you're not necessarily wrong for what you're saying, but let's see how you feel about Gon after you go further along the story. He's not one of my favorite protagonists in Shonen by any means, but he's pretty good actually, overall in the grand scheme of things.
Fair enough. Like, as I said, that's why I'm not... These are only my initial judgments. But I also had very poor judgments of other manga series that now I really, really enjoy, for example. So, I mean, it's something where I don't like to judge something until I've fully read it. Like, I've always hated people who there's opinion based, and then there's what's the word I'm looking for? Like, you still need to appreciate something. Like for example, my wife is not interested in Lord of the Rings. Totally fine with that. But if she said to me, Lord of the Rings suck, I'd be like, well, that's an incorrect statement. It's the greatest book written of all time. So you haven't read it, you can't say it sucks. Like, so it's the
Yeah.
same reason I read all of Naruto. I still don't like Naruto to this day. There's aspects of Naruto I like, there's characters in Naruto I like, there's arcs in Naruto I like. I don't like Naruto as a series. It would never be in my top 50. It would never reach any top anything for me, ever. However, some characters
Man,
might. Some characters might. But that being said, I was I realized that I was saying that before I had actually read the series. So that's why I sat down and read it, even though I didn't like it. And maybe that's a bad attitude to go into something, but I felt like it's unfair to judge something. Once again, you don't judge a book by its cover. You got to read the goddamn book. If you don't read the book, you have no right to have an opinion on it. That's just my way of thinking. So I had to read Naruto
yeah,
so I can, judge it fairly and say, yes, I did read it. You know.
Now here's the thing. How much of that do you think you need to read before you can judge? Like, how many chapters of a manga do you think you need to read before you can be like, that's bad, or
That's
what?
a
Yeah.
that's a good question. I'll think on that. Tenryo, do you have well, Chubb, first I'll ask you, since it's your question, what do you think is a fair marker for that?
Um, hmm. I'd say like 25, probably.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's what I that's what I do for manga. It's like I read 25 chapters, and if not feeling it, I just drop it. But I guess, hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'd say 25. If it's like a longer series, maybe 50, like maybe One Piece. But
Fair enough. Because a lot of people, I was about to bring up One Piece, because a lot of people's turning point was the Arlong Park arc, and that didn't happen in no
man,
25, 50 chapters. You know.
that's bullshit. One Piece was good from the very beginning.
Yes, but for a lot of people that might not have been like I wasn't. I'll tell you right now. My friends tried to introduce me to One Piece when I was a teenager, and I was like, no, Luffy's a dumbass. Naruto's a dumbass. I'm done with dumbass protagonists. I wanted Ichigo. I wanted Inuyasha. I wanted dudes who were badass from the beginning. Dudes who weren't fucking total morons who had an IQ of 5. I was not interested in that when I was a kid, or a teenager. So I wanted to see cool main characters. So it took me a long time. But that being said, when I did get into One Piece, the thing that turned it around was Luffy's attitude during the Arlong Park arc. That made me go, this dude might be an idiot, but then he became lovable to me when I realized when shit actually goes down, the man can be serious. In his own way, he's serious, he knows what's right and wrong. And I was like, now I'm on board. So like a lot of people introduced to One Piece, I was there with the whole Nami stabbing herself thing. That was the when Luffy stopped her from doing that and put the hat on the head, I was like, Dominoes, you got me. You know. So absolutely. But though to be fair, I when I read One Piece now, going back, I like One Piece. I like the first arc. I like the Baratie. I like all that
Yeah,
stuff. So, but
man,
for me to be introduced to it, not knowing a goddamn thing about it, it was difficult to be on board with. I was like, why isn't Zoro the main character? You know, I was like, that dude's cool. Luffy's a moron.
hey,
You know, so there was
I like the
that
Zoro hype.
aspect. Yeah, there was that aspect. So, but yeah, 25, 50 chapters. That's fair. Tenryo, what do you think about that question though? Like, what's a fair marker for you to be able to at least like right or wrong opinion? It doesn't matter, but like, what do you think is a fair milestone to say? Okay, I've read enough of this that I can have an opinion and say yes or no.
man, I think I had to like somewhere agree with Chubb. Maybe like 25 or maybe 25 to 50 chapters, I think is fair. I think if you're covering like one arc and you don't like the series, I think it's fair enough to be like, okay, it's just not for me. But But I do agree that if you say that the whole series is trash based off of only one arc, then okay, that's a different story altogether. But if you're just like, okay, I tried one arc of this series, it wasn't for me. Like for example, I don't know if you guys know who the Elite Ace is from the guy who also does the Bleach channel. He said something similar that I just don't like One Piece, but I'm not saying it's trash. Okay, that's very fair, stuff like that. But
Exactly.
I'd say like 20 to 50 chapters. I think that's fair enough. When it comes to anime, it's different. The 3 episode rule is pretty valid as far as I'm concerned. Like 3 to 10 episodes, I think.
Well, I mean, all right. I mean, it works different for everybody. I'll give you that. But the way I always said it, and I think that this will come across to end this part is, I always said like Leonardo da Vinci could paint. Does it? The Mona Lisa is a fantastic painting. That cannot be disputed. It is a wonderful work of art. Doesn't mean I want it hanging in my living room. That's the basically that's the way of saying something like you can appreciate the talent and dedication and whatever that it took to make that. Doesn't mean you have to like it. If someone says Lord of the Rings sucks, Star Wars sucks, One Piece sucks, these are incorrect statements. They don't suck. The world is against that. Literally the world has told you no, that's an incorrect thing to say. But if you say I don't like it, that's totally valid. That's totally fair. You don't have to like Star Wars. You don't have to like One Piece. You cannot like it. But to go and trash it is a different thing. You can have an opinion, so I always like the somebody once told me that whole Mona Lisa thing. I think it was either my uncle or my old man. And I was like, that's the difference between an opinion and whatever like the trash talking version is. So just jumping right quick here into the chat. We got Fanboy in here saying, have you seen the last episode of Food Wars, the anime? No, I'm only on episode 4 still because my Crunchyroll thing ran out and I'm trying to catch up on that because I'm still trying to review it. I know I'm super behind. It's probably over by now. Purple Tate said, they are 11-year-old kids. You never became best friends with someone who and had them cover the same day when you were 8? Come on, G baby. I assume that's talking about the whole Gon Killua thing. No, I did not. I didn't want to jump in front of a bullet when I was in 3rd grade, and I first met like the dude sitting next to me. I didn't feel like that same day I would take a bullet for that guy, even though he gave me a chocolate bar. No, I did not feel that way. I'm sorry. I moved schools when I was in 3rd grade, so this is a very good analogy to take. So that's like 7 or 8 or something, right? So I mean, I moved schools, knew nobody, sat next to a dude. He gave me a Snickers bar on the very first day. That was very nice of that guy, but it didn't mean I was going to all of a sudden like go and like save him from his wife beating fucking father-in-law or whatever. Like that shit wasn't gonna go down. In one day of knowing a guy. So. No, I'm holding to my guns here. I'm holding the rope. So, but anyways, I gotta go quickly check on the potatoes in the oven, guys. So feel free to talk amongst yourself. This stream's still going. I will be right back.
No worries, dude. You take your time.
Alrighty, I'm back. Let's see what was
That's
going on.
good. The food is being prepared well.
I mean, yeah. Thankfully, as Fanboy brought up about Food Wars, I definitely know how to cook. So everything's being prepared very well for my supper. So, which,
I only read like the first two chapters of that series, and then I just stopped reading it for some reason. Not because it was bad. It was just like, there are other series I want to check out over it. And it was the one food series that got the popularity, whereas Toriko just went like, so sad. I mean, I've seen the OVA of Toriko, Dragon Ball, and One Piece, and it's so depressing how those other two are so popular and Toriko just getting nothing.
yeah,
Because it was just
I always liked when King of Lightning and Tekken would always bring up, like, whenever someone would bring up the big three in their chats, they would say like, you mean the big four, right? Because both those guys, even though they were big One Piece and Bleach reviewers, they also both considered Toriko to be on the same level. You know, everyone called it the big three based on the West. See, that's a Western concept, right? The big three didn't exist in Japan. It was the Western concept based on the whole Stalin, Roosevelt, Churchill sort of idea, right? The big three. Well, it's the big three of manga was Bleach, Naruto, you know, so it was easy, but it's like, nah, Toriko was standing strong with those guys for many years, you know, so it is unfortunate, especially since I don't like Naruto, and I think Toriko is much better than Naruto from just an artistic standpoint, a storytelling standpoint, and a creative standpoint. It's just better, so I always felt very shafted that Naruto got so popular.
I mean, I can agree that Toriko is the more creative series, but I'm not sure if I can call it necessarily like much better, honestly, because I feel like Naruto just had a more ambitious story and characters with arcs to them. So it's hard for me to tell which one is better, but I can say that I kind of had more fun with Toriko, absolutely, and definitely has a lot of aspects that are better than Naruto, like the world building and the fight scenes. Actually, no, I'm gonna have to go with Naruto, honestly, but Toriko is up there, honestly.
No, I
But
would disagree completely. I think the Toriko fight scenes are some of the best I've ever seen. I love
absolutely,
the impacts there are just phenomenal, and I think like Bleach beats Naruto in that stuff, and then I think Toriko beats Bleach. So as far as fight scenes are concerned, like the impact you feel, you know, it's incredible, you know. So that's
fair, but honestly, I'm one of those people that I honestly agree that even if Naruto doesn't have like better aspects than some of the other series, I feel like Naruto in terms of fights, just to me, it never fails, especially in the anime. Honestly, like for example, look, I don't like Boruto, but the Naruto and Sasuke versus Momoshiki fight, it completely just rocks my socks off. Like Naruto never fails when it comes to fights. I would
well,
gladly
you have to
admit
also
that
understand that
even
are
this
you talking the anime though? Are you talking the anime? Because the
and
anime fight scene
anime
was
and manga.
well, yeah, because like what I'm only comparing is the manga because you do know like the Naruto versus Sasuke fight was animated by that dude who like makes like the greatest animation. I forget his name or whatever. They brought in a new animator to do that fight specifically. It's like, well, fine dandy, but that's like it's kind of unfair. It's like, okay, I have a low budget film, but for the fight scene, I'm going to bring in Bruce Lee versus Jet Li. It's like, well, obviously that shit is going to be goddamn awesome, and the rest of the movie might be meh at best, you know? So that's why I'm only sticking to the manga opinions as far as the fight scenes choreographed in the manga, because you can't tell me
I
that
mean,
if you got the like a crazy great animation studio to redo Toriko fights. You can't tell me that
oh
they
my
wouldn't
god.
be incredible, right? They would beat Naruto fights out of the water. So that's why I don't compare the animes. Because if you compare the animes, you have to look at the animation studios that handled them and who was in charge and who did that. If you just look at the manga, then it's fair game, right? Then you're only basing
Yeah,
it on,
really.
you know. I think okay, so Chubb dropped out, but Misk is in here. What's up, Misk?
Hello, how are you?
Good, good. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing all right. Does my mic quality sound all right?
Sounds
Yeah, sounds
sound
perfectly good.
yeah,
Fantastic. This is
sounds.
actually the first time I've ever appeared on a stream. This is pretty cool.
Oh wow, wow, yeah, because you just started your channel. Tenryo, do you know Misk from either my Discord or YouTube?
I don't think I've ever seen him, honestly. Apologies.
Yeah, I'm very new. I don't blame you for it. I just started back in April.
Yeah. Yep, yep. And meanwhile, I'm sitting over here green with envy of Misk actually because he made the same videos that I did around the same time, but his got the hits and mine did not. So I'm just sitting here green.
I think I got some inspiration from yours because I had wanted to try and bring some attention to the series because I like it a lot. I really like Shumatsu, and it has a really big Latin fan base, I've noticed. Like,
yeah, because the
Shumatsu videos
Spanish
get like 80. Yeah,
Yep.
the Spanish anime community seems to love battle manga, so Shumatsu videos get like 80,000 views,
Yep.
whereas there are only like 10 English-speaking YouTube channels that talked about it. So I had originally started doing videos just to talk about it. I think like my first 7 videos are all on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Yep.
sort of cheated the system a bit by like sharing it on the subreddit and on the server because I know the people on there and I know they want to see videos from people that make it. So
Fair
I
enough.
kind of got a lot of exposure early on. But now I'm starting to get more views from other series like Chainsaw Man and Kengan.
That's great to hear. Just a quick shout out here for everybody that watching. Go check out Misk. He's on YouTube. I am terrible at editing live streams, so the link will not be in the description down below, but I'm pretty sure you can find him. He will post his link to his YouTube channel in my Discord, and my Discord link is definitely in my description. So definitely go check him out. There's my shout out there. And Shumatsu is absolutely fantastic. And actually, the last couple of chapters were released in Spanish for the longest time. And my wife is making fun of me because she's Latina. And she's like, well, if you had learned Spanish, you could be reviewing the chapter already. So she's always nagging at my ass like that. So, so you're absolutely right. The Latino community loves, or the Spanish community loves Shumatsu no Valkyrie. We got Purple Tape in here saying talk chubs. We got MC Dude saying, would you bleach from your memory to watch and read it over again? That's a very interesting idea. Actually, I always loved the concept of would you actually bleach or erase Star Wars and want to watch it from 1 through 9. I always wanted to see what that experience would be like because I, of course, watched it growing up. And where it was out of order. That's the key one. You never talk about a series that actually went chronologically. You have to talk about the ones that are all over the map, like Star Wars. Would you willingly erase that from your memory and want to watch it from episode 1 through episode 9? That's the real question. And me personally, I don't think so. But it would be a very interesting experience to go through it that way, to have zero knowledge of Star Wars and watch it from 1 through 9. I feel like that would be if you could get your old experience back at the end and do like a comparison, that would be awesome. Like lose your memory, watch Star Wars, get your memory back, and have both memories intact. That would be pretty cool. Purple Tape said, this is Snapback Pirates. What up, Chubb? Yeah, okay, yeah. Purple Tape, I know by your icon, man. All right, so we're caught up with the chat. So anyways, sorry for interrupting, guys. I just got to always keep up with my chat,
Yeah, regarding that question, I would say no because I will never sacrifice anything for my beautiful nostalgia. I will never sacrifice those memories I have of watching The Phantom Menace dressed as Darth Maul. So no, I will not bleach stars from my mind just to experience all the movies in chronological order. No thanks.
Fair enough.
I have too many fond memories.
Fair enough. All right, before I move on to ask Misk if he would do it, Tenryo, is there any series you would do that to like basically banish it from your mind? Like it doesn't need to be good or bad. You just so you can re-experience it fresh?
Honestly, I have to say no because I just love the nostalgia that comes with it. So
Mm-hmm.
I can't really erase that just to experience it again. Especially when you're not really sure if you're gonna like it,
Mm-hmm.
and when you're experiencing it for the first time because the circumstances are so different. You know, when you watch something as a little kid, for example, that's how it's special because you experience it so early on. Like for example, Power Rangers. Let's say I bleached all my memories of that series and then I restarted all over now as an adult. I'm not gonna like it because it's for kids. But because the nostalgia is associated, those are beautiful memories that are invaluable. So honestly, I don't have an answer for that. I'm gonna have to say no.
Fair enough. Misk, would you have any series that you would banish from your mind?
So I have to agree with Tenryu about Star Wars. Star Wars was something I got into when I was like 5, and it was my shit for the longest time. Like Star Wars was the only thing I was interested in. It was something I bonded with friends over, and
Mm-hmm.
like when Episode 7 was announced, I like freaked out. I went to go see it for my birthday. It was unbelievable. So like, I feel like forgetting all of it and then just watching the movies in chronological order, it
Mm-hmm.
would kind of like lose the special factor. It would just be like watching normal movies for me if I did that. Um, I
Yep.
don't know if there's any other series I would do that with. Um,
I understand the
because I don't think.
pull, like the idea of you really got into. Let's use a shorter series, something like Death Note or something that's only like 30, 40 episodes, right? But when you first watched it, you were wowed, you were amazed, you laughed, you cried, you had, you went up and down on the emotional bracket. You want to get that. I guess the reason this question is posed is to try to get that high back, right? That experience, that feeling all over again because it made you a roller coaster of feelings. So I guess that's really where the question is based in. Like, would you want to experience that again if you had the opportunity? But,
I
you know.
don't think there's like a TV show or movie I feel that way about. I know um, for video games, I've been a big fan of the Dark Souls series for a while. And when
Mm-hmm.
the last DLC for the last game came out, and I got to the final boss, and it was like the last boss of the series, experiencing that for the first time was amazing. And it's
Mm-hmm.
still amazing every time I go back, but it's not quite the same. So that would be something where if I could forget that and experience it again, I would do it in a heartbeat because
Mm-hmm.
that was a once in a lifetime experience.
Absolutely. So I will agree with both Tenryo and Misk in this way. The whole, and MC Dude brings it up right here as well, saying the nostalgia buildup is a great counter argument for I wish I could erase this from my memory and watch it over again. They also say that Purple Tape actually knows, or Snapback Pirates knows Misk from the Chainsaw Man reviews, and MC Dude said never thought of that. So, but yeah, I completely agree with that because certain series, like you would have to erase all your experiences growing up with them. I grew up with like things like Star Wars, Inuyasha, Shaman King, things like that. And the reason they are so special is because I can sit back. I mean, I guess it's a little bit of entitlement. You can sit back and look at some, kid like, I know what Pokemon is. I'm like, you do not know Pokemon. Let me tell you about Pokemon, young man. Sort of, I definitely have that bone in me at some points, depending on the situation. But definitely wouldn't erase. I don't think I would like to. As I said, if I had the opportunity to be able to change the experience, Star Wars is a little different than like erase, rewatch, right? But with the Star Wars one, I would like to know how I would feel about Star Wars given a clean slate. I'd like to be able to compare how I feel about it. But nostalgia is clearly a great reason for it. Like my old man's the exact same way. Remember, he actually saw it in 1977 when it came out. So when he was watching these movies, he already had the nostalgia when he took me to the theaters when I was like 8 years old to see Episode 1. So my old man already had nostalgia for Star Wars at that point. So, and he really likes episodes 1, 2, and 3. He thinks they're totally fine. And this is a guy who was born in, 61. And he watched the Star Wars in theaters when they came out. He's not a huge fan of the sequel trilogy, but, so it definitely... it's definitely an experience, but I definitely like that. Everyone here has basically had the same idea that nostalgia counts for something. A lot of people say you discount it when you're trying to talk about opinions and stuff. And usually, if any YouTuber or anybody writing an article or Reddit, whatever, if you make a top 10 list and you go, okay, my favorite series of all time, Yu-Gi-Oh, for example, and then well, why? Well, like, nostalgia. I still remember. It's time to duel, like, and all that shit, right? Like, nostalgia still counts for something as long as someone acknowledges, as long as, like, if I make a top 10 list and I go, the best 10 anime openings or whatever, and I put something like an English dub of something that I saw as a kid or something, I'm going to be like, if I put Pokemon, I want to be the very best, on that list. It's like, when I explain why it's on that list, the first thing out of my mouth is going to be, this is pure nostalgia, guys, so you can discount it if you want, but I don't really give a fuck. It's my list. And a lot of YouTubers and a lot of people do that. They go, yes, I know it's nostalgia, but I also don't give a fuck. Make your own list if you got a problem with it. And that's usually the attitude. So nostalgia will always count for something.
And especially when the thing you have nostalgia for actually holds up extremely well. Like, for example, the first Ghostbusters movie. I grew up religiously with that movie when I was a kid. And when I rewatch it as an adult, it's actually probably even better than when I was a kid. That really does count for a lot. I love it when things from my childhood hold up immensely well. So that's why the nostalgia argument, to me, matters so much. It actually gives you a reason to go back to that thing to see if it holds up as an adult.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing with me.
Absolutely. And that is a big thing. I can say that there are things on both sides of that coin that I've certainly experienced. I can say there's definitely series or movies or music that I loved as a kid that don't hold up now. But I can also say the flip side of that, there are things that I have nostalgia for that still hold up to this day. I still think they're fantastic. And also, one of the big things that I think what's a nice way to say uneducated morons? Anyways, uneducated morons will judge things based on 2020 standards. People got to stop doing that. I hate when people judge things like you need to take poetic license. Like, for example, the Adam West Batman is campy as hell. It was intended to be. And that's the way all shows were. Go show me the Dark Knight Rises version of Batman from the 60s. Go ahead. I'll wait. You won't find it because that wasn't where the times were. You cannot take 45, 50 years later and then go back and be like, well, this spaghetti western with Wyatt Earp is not a great action movie. It's like, at the time, it was groundbreaking. It was amazing. We had cowboys, we had horses, we had gunfire. Like, it was incredible. I always hate it when people take their opinions of today and what makes a great movie, and what they're looking at is the visuals. Acting has evolved, visuals have evolved, technology has evolved, but people take our current standards of what makes a great movie and then they go backwards. That's unfair to do. You can never do that, in my opinion, anyways.
I think there can be multiple ways to look at a movie, especially if it's one that came out a long time ago. You can look at it based on today's standards and then look at it from the standards of when it came out, and you can get very different perspectives of it, very different opinions on it. I think films that came out a really long time ago and still hold up to today's standards are especially impressive among the genre because they can do that.
Yeah, absolutely. There are many, like, I will tell you right now, when Christmas comes around, I'll still be watching It's a Wonderful Life in black and white, and I'll be watching It's a Miracle on 34th Street in black and white. To me, those movies hold up. And surprisingly, an interesting note is I actually saw the remake of Miracle on 34th growing up. I only watched the original when I was already, well, a late teenager and an adult. But now I can't watch the new one. I want to watch the old one. So clearly that movie to me, to my preferences, holds up to this day. So um, yeah, there are definitely movies that can hold up over time, but I think there's also a nostalgia base for movies that might not hold up. Like, let's say you take a movie, you judge it by yesterday's standards. Yes, it was a fine movie. You judge it by today's standards, and it's like, you know what, that wasn't really that great a film. There are still people that are going to enjoy that film and argue for it based on yesterday's standards. And I'm sure I have
That's one
those
of the
type of.
advantages.
What's that?
That's one of the advantages of not actually growing up with something. For example, a lot of people grew up with Avatar: The Last Airbender. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't. I came into it in like 2015, where I actually saw the whole thing, and I thought, man, this is a masterpiece. That opinion matters a lot because I'm actually not blinded by nostalgia. So there is an advantage sometimes to not having the nostalgia for something. Not saying that you need nostalgia for Avatar to consider it amazing. I'm not actually saying that. But
Mm-hmm.
it is good to sometimes come into something as an adult and you can judge it from the eyes of an adult. And if you still say that it's good, that speaks volumes of the quality of that work. Avatar is one of those things.
Yeah, I think I recently experienced that with Bleach, which I just read this year for the first time. And I know Bleach is, yeah, I mean, it's one of the big three. So, of course, it's
Mm-hmm.
got quite the reputation to it. And there were a lot of people where when they grew up, they either watched the anime or they read it when it was coming out weekly, and it was like their thing. There are people who, for them, Bleach is like Star Wars was for me, but I don't have that nostalgia factor. And I'm also able to read it as like a completed product, or whatever your definition of a completed product would be with the rushed ending.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I'm able to get a different opinion that they would have. I don't know if I want to say a more objective opinion, because that may sound a little pretentious, but I think watching or reading something that you didn't experience growing up is able to give you maybe a little bit more of a balanced perspective on it.
Certainly
Yeah,
a new perspective, if nothing else.
you're not being pretentious. Don't worry. Because, for example, look at me. I grew up with Bleach, and I can still be objective when it comes to it. I can still criticize a lot of things about it. So nostalgia doesn't really have to always blind your judgment on something. So don't worry.
But sometimes we have to acknowledge one thing is that nostalgia will definitely blind you to if someone, let's say somebody was shitting on, I don't know, let's see, something that's kind of controversial. Okay, a 4 kids dub of an anime. Let's just go with that because that's easy, right? A 4 kids English dub of an anime. I grew up on it. I goddamn loved it, right? And I can go back and watch it. You'll take the flack. You'll take, well, it's 4 kids, the dub actors. This actor wasn't that great. That sounded like what a stereotype, blah blah blah, right? And you can go, okay, yeah, fine. But if they continue to shit on it, you are eventually going to come to the point that you're going to get defensive about it, to the point that you're going to sometimes maybe oversell it, even if you're like, okay, yeah, like you can sit back. Like nostalgia is always gonna. It's like when you're betting for football. You always give home team advantage. You give them a field goal. You give them 3 points, right? I feel like the people with nostalgia, if you have nostalgia for something and it's a team matchup, the home and the away, you are going to be that +3 at the home team. No matter what, no matter how bad or good that series is, objectively, you are already giving it a +3 based on nostalgia. And if someone keeps attacking it, you're going to use that +3 to go above and beyond. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that, like, I know for me, I will always defend anything that I grew up on as being, well, this is good because, I liked it as a kid, even if it doesn't hold up as well today. Like, could I watch it now? Of course I could, but I know I'm watching it through nostalgia goggles. So I don't know if I'm a fair judge to look at it and go, yeah, this is really good.
You're bringing up a good thing. that's how I feel about Naruto to an extent, honestly. Where I grew up with Naruto a lot. It was also like one of the top two things that got me into manga, for example, alongside Bleach. And therefore, when I see a lot of people nonstop shitting on Naruto, it's like, you know what? I want to defend Naruto more because I grew up with it, but I also have to be objective and say, yeah, Naruto does really deserve a lot of the criticisms. Hell, I have a lot of the same criticisms. So what you just said right now is true. Your nostalgia will eventually resurface and make you just try to defend that thing, even if it deserves the criticism.
I've never even watched Naruto. I hope if I ever do get into it one day, I can sort of not let the criticism cloud my judgment of it and sort of make my own opinion on it. But I have heard that it has like a lot of writing issues and that it basically just completely contradicts its own message like after a certain while.
It
And
it
then
it
it just becomes about who has the stronger eyeball powers.
I mean that's a bit of a stretch. I can actually say, and my anybody who's watching or in the chat will know. I mean, you guys might not know as well that I am a big time like if all right, let's trash on Naruto, let's crack these knuckles, let's go. I'm ready, right? But I can honestly say that there are many good points about Naruto, and I hate that series. But I can admit that there are many good points. There are many good plot lines. There are many good arcs, and some things by trash talkers get oversimplified. Like what you just said, it's all down to eye powers. That's an oversimplification. Even I can admit that, and I don't like Naruto.
I
But
figured
you know,
much.
yeah, like there are going to be oversimplifications. Yes, there's writing problems. Yes, their message changes 180 halfway through the series. And yes, actually, the main cast is absolute trash characters, all three of them. But on top of that, you also have some great character development with other characters. You have some very interesting plot lines, a good sub arc, you know, halfway through, like some subterfuge and all this stuff, and some grand overall scheme. You have some great elements in Naruto that just cannot be denied. And I mean, you got ninjas with superpowers. It's like it sells itself. Pirates with superpowers is One Piece. Swords with superpowers is Bleach. Ninjas with superpowers is Naruto. It wasn't hard to sell it. People are gonna enjoy that shit, right? If tomorrow I went car salesman with superpowers, trust me, it's probably gonna sell. You know, like, well, they already did that. It's called Transformers. Never mind. But
I'm, I'm glad we just got into this issue talking about like measuring out the good and bad things of the series because I was going to ask you when it comes to your judgment of whether a series is good or bad, does the quality of like the writing and the storytelling matter more to you or is it more of just like a pure entertainment value thing? Because when it comes to movies, there's a big difference between like a 1980s Steven Seagal action movie and like
mm,
Shawshank Redemption, but they're both enjoyable, but for very different reasons. One's like almost objectively very shitty, but you could sit down and watch it and have a fantastic time. The other one you could sit down and watch for like 3 hours and you're like, oh my god, this is peak cinema. But it's for very different reasons. So for you, when it
mhm.
comes to judging the quality of a piece of media, does the actual like quality of it matter more to you, or is it more just a matter of the entertainment value?
It depends on what the movie is attempting to do. That's the way, because, for example, a comedy movie with my favorite comedians of all time will make me bust a gut. But is that thing up there with The Godfather? I don't see how a comedy movie ever could be as far as a piece of cinema, as far as a like as you said or you said quality, right? It's like no matter how great they make a comedy movie, at the end of the day, it's limited to the fact that it is a comedy movie and it can only reach a certain point. Now that's my own bias and my own opinion, but that's the easiest way I can describe it because quality for me is something that becomes like an epic, something that's on a grand scale, something that just can't be touched, right? And for me, there are certain movies, like my favorite movie of all time is a B movie at best. It's Top Gun with Tom Cruise. It's my favorite movie of all time. I know it's not the greatest movie ever made. I know it's cheesy at points. I know all these things. I don't care because, as you said, entertainment value. It's my favorite movie. I grew up on it. I love it to this day. I watched it last week. I'm still like, that's my favorite movie. But I know that it's not The Godfather. I know it's not Star Wars. I know it's not Jaws. I get that, right? So I sit back and I'm like, it's no Avengers movie, right? So I think if the movie is trying to be what it's not, then that makes it a worse film. But if the movie knows that it's a B movie, the movie knows it's an epic. If it knows it's an Avengers level movie and it fails, then it fails hard. But if it knows and it wins, then it's way up there. I think it's up to the movie to make you, like, you sit down and you go, okay, I don't know what I'm in for. Is this a B movie? Is it the best thing I've ever seen? I don't know. The movie in the first couple of scenes should tell you what you're in for. And you should be able to sit back and either go, okay, I'm on the edge of my seat ready with tissues, or I'm going to sit back and be ready to laugh and enjoy a good time. The movie needs to tell you that. If the movie doesn't tell you that, then it's not a great movie on either scale. So I don't really know if that answered the question completely, but I guess I think that every aspect or every factor of a story matters. You have your plot, you have your characters, you have your, in anime or movies and stuff, you have your soundtrack, you have your choreography. Everything matters at the end of the day. It's like One Punch Man. I don't think One Punch Man's story is very good, but the art is 11 out of 10. So that there's a perfect example of something that, even I don't think One Punch Man is as great as everybody hypes it up to be. I don't get the hype. I think it's X-Men meets Dragon Ball Z, and it's not very original. But its art is so goddamn phenomenal that, it took the world by a storm. And I can't deny that the art is fantastic, and the story is not, I shouldn't paint it that way. The story is not bad, exactly. But, it's not exactly, it's got this overzealous hype to it that makes me think like, oh my god, this is the next One Piece. Like, before I even knew what One Punch Man was about, I believed that One Punch Man, by the way the community blew up, this has got to be the next, this is going to be better than Dragon Ball Z, this is going to be better than Bleach, this is going to be better than One Piece, this is going to be the greatest manga anime of all time. And then I watched it and I was like, what? Like, the community builds this thing up to the point of a cult, and then it sort of drops itself back down. So there is a certain level of expectations. That's why I stopped going on Twitter and shit for the longest time, because I hated the hype. I hated people hyping shit up.
Oh my god.
Demon
Oh my
Slayer,
god.
look at that.
I use Twitter like every day, and I follow like a decent amount of anime accounts, and they're some of the dumbest people I've ever seen in my life. They're so unfathomably stupid when it comes to talking about how like Bleach and Naruto are peak fiction or something, and then they'll just argue with each other over which one is actually peak fiction when like neither of them are really. And it's just like a hype cult, and they seem to get off on attacking each other and talking about how great their own series is. I mean, for One Punch Man, I always assumed it was the art or the animation in the case of the anime. I never really knew there was much more else to it than that.
Yeah, I'll get a lot of hate. I'll get a lot of hate for that.
No,
I mean, it's undeniable. It's like the best art on the market right now. I'm not aware of any other currently running series that has better art than One Punch Man.
No, honestly, the next One Punch Man basically is Demon Slayer in terms of YouTube anime community hype, because that's what they always do. If something has really pretty colors and it has waifus and all that stuff, it's gonna get really blown up to complete unbelievable proportions. And people always do this with every major, like, I don't know, battle shonen anime. For example, Jujutsu Kaisen, there are people with only one episode already saying, oh, this could be the anime of the year. And it's like, why can't you people give it, like, I don't know, 12 episodes or something before you call it anime of the year? Why can't you people just let that series do its own thing? people like for Neverworld and Chibi always do this, and they piss me off for that reason. People always have to blow everything up to be the next big thing ever. I mean, I get so sick of it, honestly.
Yeah, I don't
This is
want to
really
exactly
hilarious.
hate on anybody, but I will admit that I had to stop following Chibi reviews back in the Seven Deadly Sins days because the way he portrayed, the way he did his reviews and stuff, did irritate me as well to a point and stuff. And I don't want to hate on any fellow YouTubers, but I just want to say that yeah, there was a very difference in opinion in the way he handled the reviews of Seven Deadly Sins and what he thought about it and stuff, and the way he hyped certain things up. It was just like it felt like who's it felt a bit like paid off. Like who handed you the money under the table. So yeah.
Tenry, it's very funny you bring up Jujutsu Kaisen as the example because I've seen a lot of that. But as someone who's read the manga and I know some other people who've read it, seeing what they've done with just the first 2 episodes, I have a feeling that may be warranted once we get like halfway through the season. I think we'll get it like it. Knowing what will be happening in like the next several episodes, I think like episode 5 or 6 may end up trending on Twitter with some of the stuff coming up. So for some people that have like read the manga and you see how well they're doing with an anime adaptation, the people who have already read the series and are seeing how it's going, they can be like, all right, I have a feeling we probably have a contender here. But for people that are just like seeing it for the first time, like they've never heard of it before, they're just watching the first episode and they've heard it's very hyped up, a lot of them just kind of get on a hype bandwagon and it's very obnoxious and annoying to listen to. I agree with that.
It absolutely is.
Yeah, because
Absolutely. So I'm just going to have to read through the chat really, really, really quick and say MC Dude says, I haven't watched Naruto either. I think hearing stuff about it however long after over and over keeps me turning it away. Yeah, because there's just as many haters, unlike back in the day, which would get you shot in the anime community. Now, there's just as many haters because it's probably cool to meme shit. This is before memes were a thing. And stuff like that. So yeah, but MC Dude, it's still worth a read. It is one of the biggest mangas of all time. You should still, just like me with Hunter x Hunter, I'm getting through it. I have to get through it because I can't be an uneducated anime YouTuber. That's just not fair. That one guy says MC Dude also says maybe it's just the imperfections of popular series get magnified more and more over time by its fans. That's absolutely true. People pick at the bigger names because it's easier to do so. I know very well I keep bringing up the same issue about One Punch Man. The art and Murata is the reason that it's as hyped as it is. I still don't think that statement's wrong, but when you keep bringing it up, it pisses off the community more and more and more. So I try not to do it as much. And Purple Tape says, go at Chibi's neck, G baby. No, I don't like to go at anybody's neck, other than Grim Reaper. That's like shooting fish in a barrel. That's just fun. But no, I love Grim. Grim's great. Go check out Grim Reaper, guys. But yeah, no, I don't like to slander people. I'll slander people non-YouTubers. I'll slander non-YouTubers. Unless Donald Trump gets a YouTube channel, then I'll start slandering a YouTuber. Until that day happens, I don't like to slander other YouTubers. So, but yeah, I'll leave it to Tenryo and Mist to keep the chat going. I just need to take the potatoes out of the oven, and I will be right back.
no worries.
Tenryu, have you read Jujutsu Kaisen or have you just seen the hype for it?
Oh, what?
Have you read Jujutsu Kaisen? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually up to date with the manga,
Oh,
and I can understand the people who have read the manga and they're confident that the studio can properly adapt the material, and they say it's anime of the year. I actually did the same thing last year with Vinland Saga. I didn't say it in a video because I'm not a YouTube reviewing channel or anything. I don't really use it, but I was really excited for the manga getting an adaptation, and from what I saw in the previews and the trailers, I was like, "This is gonna be anime of the year. I know it." And when I finished the series, I'm like, "Yep, it completely lived up to the hype for me." So I get those kinds of people, but when you have someone like I don't know, Mastar Media, who made a video on Demon Slayer, the first episode. He says this is the new anime of the year, and I'm like, okay, let me watch the video, and maybe he's read the manga and he's confident that the studio is gonna do a great job adapting it. But I watched the video, and what did he say? I haven't read the manga, but I'm confident this is gonna be anime of the year,
Oh
and
my
that
god.
pissed me off. Like, why do people always have to do that? Everything has to be the best new thing ever. It can't just be a good series. And therefore, you have people like Forever Roll and Chibi. They do the same thing. Hey, this is anime of the year, anime of the season. And then Chibi is for those people that get after you. He clearly sees that the anime isn't that good. He stops talking about it out of nowhere. He did that with the God of High School, where in the first episode he said this anime is fantastic, and then when after 7 episodes he stopped talking about it entirely. So if it's so good, why did you stop talking about it out of nowhere? Could it be that
Actually,
maybe it doesn't live up to the hype and you can't leech off of your brain dead subscribers? It couldn't possibly be. And that's the reason. Same thing with Forever World. Those two, they have a lot of subscribers, but they don't deserve any of them because they are fakesters.
I think
We
this is
need
all
new
because we live in an era of hyperbole and hype culture. Like everything needs to be hyped up as like the new big thing. And so whenever something of like mildly decent quality comes out, everyone's like, "Yo, that's oh my god." Um, I think that's probably why that happens so often. If I had to guess, it's funny you
Yeah.
bring up God of High School. I actually have started reading the webtoon, and man, did they cut a lot of shit out. That's unfathomable to me that they tried to fit like 110 chapters worth of content into 13 episodes. Crunchyroll really screwed them over with that one.
I haven't even read the webtoon, and even I can tell that they rushed through a lot of shit because man, the story just became incoherent. Like I don't know, 7 or 8 episodes in, I couldn't follow what was going on anymore. So they fucked that up. They fucked up what I would thought was gonna be a simple, fun anime, but then it tried to be more than it actually promised, and then it failed at it. That's the kind of stuff that Griever was talking about. That you have to sell yourself as something in the first couple of episodes, and if you fail to live up to that standard, you're gonna get shat on
I think
justifiably.
they just tried to fit way too much into that amount of episodes. Like they did the first 2 seasons of the webtoon and the first season of the anime. I understand that like webtoon adaptations are like a new thing, and webtoon and Crunchyroll was like testing the waters with it. But if it gets a season 2 and they like fix the pacing, it's gonna be really weird to get to all the shit that they got to um, after 13 episodes. Because I've gotten past the anime by now. I'm probably finishing up whatever the second season would be, unless do like another 200 fucking chapters for the next season of the anime. It's gonna be really weird to get to some of that shit in like the 15th or 16th episode when you put them all together. They really
I
screwed
mean,
that shit over. As far as I
that's
understand, Tower of God turned out fine. I actually never finished reading the anime or watching the
I
anime. But
didn't.
from what I understand, that one went much better than the adaptation for God of High School.
I still prefer Golf High School because it was more entertaining, but I don't like either series that much. I haven't read the webtoons. I came into the animes completely blind, and I was let down by both of them. But at least I can say with Golf High School that I was actually interested and entertained more often than Tower of God, which honestly, I can't recall a single moment I was actually legitimately interested or hyped about it.
I
So
think a
people
lot
can be
of
like, "Oh, this is supposed to be like the prologue. It'll get better." And I'm like, "No, do not use the bullshit. It gets better argument. It should be good from the first season. If
oh,
it takes more than one season to get
uh,
good, it's not good."
I know we brought up Twitter being like very dumb and headache inducing to be on. But a couple weeks ago, there was some person that was like, "Yeah, I watched like 235 episodes of One Piece and I didn't care for it, so I dropped it. I thought it was bad." And then this one person was like, "Oh, dude, you didn't even finish it, and you're going to criticize it like that?" And it got the person calling the second guy an idiot for like really 235 episodes is not enough to judge the quality of a series in your opinion. And the person that called him out got like 100,000 likes. It was fucking insane.
Dude, I'm
That's
so
like
glad
big traffic for anime Twitter.
Dude, I'm so glad you brought up that argument because yeah, it's so funny that you say that there's fans that are they're gonna call out other people for being like you didn't even finish the whole thing, so how can you make a fair assessment? But then you have other people that if you criticize a series, they're gonna be like, if you don't like it, don't watch. And I'm like, what the fuck do we do then? Do we finish the series or do we just stop watching it because we don't like it? You can't win with these people.
It's
Seriously.
like, dude, Oda hasn't even finished One Piece yet. You can't even criticize it.
Honestly, I hate fanboys so much. You cannot reason with them. They will always try to find an excuse to defend their series, even if it's completely unreasonable.
Here's the end. At the end of the day, here's what you do. You do not engage with the toxic fan base. You don't engage with the toxic people that are just trying to, the Karens of the world, that are trying to just get you to bite. You know? Let your fishing rod go, guys. Don't go out on that lake. Just be done with it, right? Because at the end of the day, what are you really going to accomplish? Think about it this way. You are not actually going to ever convince them that they're wrong. You know that going in. Now, I understand sometimes you engage and then you realize you kind of fucked up and then you're like, oh, God, now I'm in this and I don't want to look like a bitch, so I got to keep arguing. But at the end of the day, just take a knee. Take a knee, run out the clock, because you're never going to win with those people. There are always going to be the people out there, and it doesn't matter. Anime, manga, sports, fucking politics. It doesn't matter the subject matter. There's always going to be those people who are going to say A and nothing but A and nothing but the A. And you're going to be like, well, what about B and C? I don't give a fuck about B and C. It's like, yeah, but B and C have some good points. No. You know, you're going to have those people. You're going to have the fanatics, the zealots, the cultist, sheep-level followings. And they are going to die on that hill. You could literally be, they would be the Black Knight in the Monty Python thing. It's a flesh wound. You know, you could literally chop them in half by their own logic. And they'd be like, yeah, well, it wasn't my logic. It's like, no, yeah, it was. You told me to cut you with the sword. Yeah, well, I mean, my arm's fine. No, you don't have an arm anymore. No, it's fine. You know, you're arguing with morons. Why bother? Why do it? Now, I'm not saying that we don't all do it. I've engaged with many an idiot in multiple different subject matters doing this. So I'm preaching, but I don't practice it as much as I should. But yeah. Definitely got to keep that away because, as you guys were just saying about everybody hyping shit up. You know, some years at the Oscars, it's not that great. There's no new Marvel movie came out. There's no great new, this is some revolutionary movie with, The Life of Pi, 10 Years a Slave, something with another racist white dude and a black slave or something. There's none of those movies that came out. There's no Star Wars movie that came out. There's no Marvel movie. So the Oscars kind of blows, right? There's no feel-good story.
This year we got the Sonic movie.
Yeah, I mean, I like the Sonic movie well enough, but that's what I'm saying. Like, some years at the Oscars, you have, like, Godfather versus Star Wars versus, Marvel, and it's like, what the fuck? How do we decide? Then the next year, it's like, they made movies last year? Huh? So I understand what you guys were talking about because there are people that'll hype up, this year is kind of shitty for anime. It really is. It's a bad year. It's a bad year all around for a lot of reasons, but 2020 is not a great year for anime. You know what's good year? Next year. Bleach and Shaman King coming back. It's going to be a great year. Hype that shit up. Why bother hyping up these like one-note series? Like, and I totally understand, and that's why people don't like, as Tenryo was saying, like For Never World and Chibi, is because they are the YouTubers that ride on that hype train. I try not to do that. That's probably why I don't have that many subscribers, is because I don't get on the latest. I don't look up, all right, what's trending on Twitter. Oh, this series that I have no interest in reading, and I'm never going to watch the anime because I can't even keep up with what I want to watch. Okay, but I'm going to make a trailer reaction and be like, woo, you know, and be super hype. And I'm going to get like 10,000 views and be like, yeah, this series is great. And then I'm going to be a hypocrite. You know, so I don't do that shit. So I understand why people get mad at the people that's all they are. They're hype men. That all they do is hype up series. They're not actually.
And they conveniently always like the new thing that comes out, always and conveniently. That's the thing that gets me. That's why I don't trust them.
Mm-hmm. No, that's absolutely right. And I used to follow some YouTubers that did that thing, and then I just, you know, I won't name names because I'm not that type of dude, but I just unfollow them after a while because it's just like, you know what, you know, you're just hyping up the latest thing. It's like I like to think if I give you guys hype, once again, I understand that there are going to be people, for example, a perfect example is I just released that Shaman King trailer reaction. I am pumped as shit because Shaman King is one of my top mangas of all time. It's one of my favorite animes due to nostalgia of all time. Actually, the manga I didn't read until I was already like a late teenager, so that's not nostalgia, but I still think it's one of the best manga. The anime, that's nostalgia based. Either way, love Shaman King coming back. I'm bored to shit with all what's going on right now. I need more Bleach. I am so sad to go through Shonen Jump and only read like 2 chapters. I used to read 10. Now I read 2. Like, every series in Shonen Jump used to be hype. Yeah, because at one time you had Bleach, Naruto, Toriko, One Piece, not Fairy Tail, but Food Wars, what's the other one that ended? Well, Dr. Stone had started. You had, what was another one? Beelzebub. You had, okay, I got 8 anyway, or 7. I got 7 anyways, right then and there. They were all running roughly the same time. Like, there was never a week where I wasn't reading like 7, 8 chapters on Friday. Now, I read like 2. And then when I get around to it, I read My Hero Academia and Black Clover and stuff like that, you know? But like, it's like My Hero Academia, Black Clover, you know, like I'm just not hyped for them. They're great series. They really are. They're very good series. It's just, I don't got a passion. I don't got a love for them. I can't fabricate a false love for these series. I can look at it, be like, My Hero Academia is rather good. It's got some good points. I don't dislike it. I don't love it. Same with Black Clover. Black Clover, better even than My Hero Academia. Pretty good. What Naruto should have been. Okay. This is pretty good. Alright, that's where it falls. Like, I can't say, like, I can honestly say, I love Shaman King. I love Bleach. I love One Piece. I love Toriko. I love. You know? If you don't have the passion to love it, you're not going to really care if you, like, I'm not on the edge of my seat on my phone Friday morning being like, you know, with bloodshot eyes being like, all right, when's that chapter dropping? I'm waiting, you know? Like I don't get that hype anymore. When One Piece comes out, maybe. That's about the most I get hype anymore. And I miss not even, you know, 5-6 years ago being hyped for like 9 chapters, like basically heart attack ready. Fairy Tail was dropping. Back when Fairy Tail was good. Fairy Tail was dropping. One Piece was dropping. You know, Bleach was dropping. Everything was in its final arc. Things were going down. Food Wars was at an all-time high. Toriko final arc was going down. Naruto was just there to be fun with that Shinobi War thing. And it was just like, all right, I got some stuff to be hyped for Friday, right? So, yeah. The reason I notice it so much is because I always have a break time, 10 o'clock in the morning, right? I go to work on Fridays, every Friday. I'm Monday to Friday. And every Friday, used to be, every Friday, 10 o'clock, coffee time. You'd get your coffee, sit down, drink your coffee. Everybody would talk about stuff. If there was nothing to discuss, there usually wasn't much. People were just talking about the weather, the usual bullshit, right? So 10 o'clock on my break, pull out my phone. That's when I got to read my manga. And I remember, like, some days being like, this is a quick coffee break because we got to get back out there. So I would be like, okay, I had to prioritize. Which chapters did I want to read on my break? I only got 20 minutes. Which chapters are the important ones to read this week? And I had to choose. Now, I read One Piece and then I'm done. It's like I can wait. I can wait until 4 p.m. I can wait until I go home and read them later. Like, my level of hype is so down that,
I want to jump in because I can sympathize with that. I mean, I was thinking about that lately, honestly, because the thing is that in the last couple of years, I've been mostly reading when it comes to weekly manga strictly, I was only reading like One Piece and My Hero Academia. And One Piece was the one that always gets me hyped up. I have a lot of passion for it. It's my favorite manga. And then I have My Hero Academia, and it's like, oh yeah, I guess I'll read it later or something. And I remember the days, like an example in 2014, where I was reading Naruto, Bleach, One Piece, and Toriko, and it's like, hey, it was a few series, but at least I have passion. Even when Naruto and Bleach were at their lowest points, I still read the chapters as soon as they came out. I cannot say the same thing for something like My Hero Academia, for example.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I missed. But at least this year, I'm actually reading like 15 to 16 different manga and one webtoon. So at least I have that. But even then, I still miss the days where I had a lot of passion for most of the series that I'm reading. Quality over quantity and stuff like that. So I wish I could find something else in my weekly reads that was like somewhere on the level of One Piece in terms of passion and hype. But I still it needs more time. I can't just be passionate as soon as I read them in 1 year. The thing that has come the closest to that is Kingdom. I actually got into Kingdom this very year, and that is a phenomenal manga. I love the fact that I'm reading it every single week. So it's not a weekly Shonen Jump manga, but it is a weekly manga at least. And I'm like, yes, I need more stuff like One Piece and Kingdom to really make me feel passionate and hyped.
Yep.
I think I'm experiencing the opposite problem from you guys, where I'm actually, what do I read every week? Let's see. I usually check on My Hero and Black Clover.
Mm-hmm.
I read Chainsaw Man. I read Jujutsu Kaisen. I read Kengan Omega. I'm thinking about getting into a couple other newer Shonen Jump series. I've heard a lot of good things about like Undead Unluck and Phantom Seer just started like 2 months ago, and I've heard that's pretty good.
Ayakashi Triangle. Ayakashi Triangle is a very good series.
I'm wondering if this is more of like a generational thing, because I know, well, with you, Griever, I can tell. I know I'm much younger than you. I think I'm in a different generation of anime and manga fan. I just got into anime very recently, like in the last
What are you
few
trying to
years.
say here? That I look like an old man?
No. I'm just saying that you've had a lot more experience in the genre for a longer time.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
No,
me,
it's okay. It's okay. I'm the garp. I get it. I'm the garp of the anime community. It's cool. It's cool.
Yes, of course. I think as someone who's much more new to this whole thing, it may be much easier for me to get into newer series. I don't know, because I don't have like experience with previous stuff to like have a different standard to base it all off of. So hearing about you describing like back during a time when you had all of these legendary series going on at the same time, it's kind of hard for me to imagine being around at a time where you had like Naruto and Bleach and One Piece and Fairy Tail and all of these other things going on and having super hype arcs at the same time. I can't even imagine like reading basically all of Shonen Jump every week.
It was an incredible time. It really was, because even the lesser series were like that. Even the lesser series made you hype. The ones. Because,
I wonder if there will ever be another time for Shonen Jump like that, because it sounds like the time. I guess this was like the era of the big three.
Yeah.
I wonder if there will ever be anything like that again. The only thing Like,
next
if I see
generation.
merchandise for an anime in America, like if I'm walking around in public and I see anime merch, I'm like, all right, I guess this is pretty popular. And like the only ones I ever see merch for are Naruto and My Hero Academia. So like the only current thing at the moment that has like a consistent popularity, even rivaling those things as far as I can see, is My Hero.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Maybe now Demon Slayer, like looking at how absurd those sales are for the last year,
Yeah.
and that it's going to have like 2 or 3 more seasons coming up. Maybe that, and we'll see what happens with Jujutsu, because I know Shonen Jump itself has been hyping that up for like the 2 years it's been running, and it's got a very good adaptation so far from what I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wondering if there will ever be a time like the time of the big three ever again.
What they need to do, and I have constantly said this because I've complained about this same issue before on other live streams. I think as early as 2 years ago as well. Um, what they need to do is it's not My Hero Academia's fault. It's not Black Clover's fault. It's not Dr. Stone's fault. They're all relatively good series, right? What they need to do is, and I hate to say this, is that as far as new mangakas are, no new mangaka is the next Kubo yet. No new mangaka is the next Oda. No new mangaka is the next Mashima. What they need to do is basically somebody needs to come in, and I laugh at the community that keeps shitting on Fairy Tail, shits on Bleach, shits on that, but that's what they want. They want these series back. You know, Seven Deadly Sins ended and stuff like that. Even like I don't have faith in Nakaba anymore. But like even then, like that was at the tail end of that generation, right? So what you need to do is Shonen Jump needs to be like, Kubo, we're giving you a new series. Write what you want. Mashima, we're giving you a new series. Write what you want. And get the dude who wrote Toriko, I always forget his name, get him in there. Be like, dude, write season 2 of Toriko. Then you'll have your next generation. Until they do that, they're not going to have it with... Unfortunately, My Hero Academia and Black Clover are not Naruto and Bleach. Everybody is expecting them to be, and that's unfair. They shouldn't be trying to fill those shoes. They are doing it because there's no other options. There's nothing else out there. You have One Piece. There is no other options. Boruto is no Naruto. So, and Bleach is not back yet. So when Shonen Jump acts both series, basically within a couple of years of each other, they had these huge holes to fill, and you had My Hero Academia. The reason My Hero Academia and Black Clover got so popular so quickly is because that's all that was available. Like, and I'm not shitting on the series for doing that. It was just the opportunity that showed itself. But if you were a guy, as Tenryo and I are saying, if you're a guy who was used to reading 5 or 6 chapters every Friday, bare minimum, what are you gonna do? Go down to 1? No, you're gonna read whatever Shonen Jump produces. Well, what are the ones they produce after Naruto and Bleach ended? Black Clover and My Hero Academia. Go figure, they got popular, right? Regardless, I don't think they're bad written mangas. I don't think they're bad stories. But at the end of the day, they kind of had that lucky sort of draw because everyone who was sitting there with a hole, going, what do we read? What do we do now? They needed to find something, and that was the only thing available. So hopefully, I'm thinking the next generation. I'm thinking after My Hero Academia. Honestly, it pains me to say it, but I think when the One Piece era ends, that's when you're going to finally get the next. Until One Piece ends, I don't think you're going to see another golden resurge.
That's what I was just thinking, because it sounds like all of this is like it's all in the shadow of the big three. It's so long, like for the next several years, you're going to be comparing everything. Is this the next Bleach? Is this, well, Jujutsu's gotten the next Bleach treatment, which I kind of get because it has a lot of similarities. But basically every new Shonen Jump series that's mildly popular is going to be compared to the big three. And I think until like after we've kind of gotten over them, like where the majority of manga readers are people who did not grow up or read those, that will probably be the only time we'll ever get to see something explode in popularity like the big three. I think we kind of have to move on from those and like see what the next thing is. Someone
Which-
doing something different.
Which I just have to say right now is almost impossible when the most hype they've brought out. It's sort of like Nintendo. Nintendo's handheld systems start failing. What do? They remake a Pokemon game and they bring it out, right? Like, how can you get away from the Pokemon games and branch out if that's all you're selling us? And in the same way, the anime community is doing the same thing. Look at what I just said about 2021. They're bringing back series from the 90s and the early 2000s because they know people want them. Like, it's almost impossible to get out of the shadow of these things when all they keep doing. You know how many times Shonen Jump calls Akira Toriyama back? He didn't want to make Dragon Ball Z. Now he's making Dragon Ball Super 40 years later. Like, seriously.
Exactly.
Like,
I will say this. Wait, who's gonna go first?
I was just going to say
I
that
don't really have
the
anything to say
community.
at the moment. I guess you can go
Yeah,
first.
the community does not want these series to die. Like, I'm more hyped for 2021 because Shaman King, Inuyasha, Bleach. Right? So I'm part of the problem, as Miss was saying. I'm part of that problem because I'm not willing to let go of that shadow that's overcoming everything. When I try to give new series a chance, but nothing is matching up to what I think is up here. And I don't know if it's my bias. I don't know if it's me being unfair, or maybe the new series right now just aren't that good. Maybe that's the case. But how would you know? If you're not a reader, if you're like, as someone who read in the golden age of manga in the West, how do I know if I'm being fair to the new series? I don't actually know. So
Yeah, it seems like people like me or the people that come after me are going to be the people that are going to have to decide what the next big thing is, I guess. Because for me, I don't have that bias. Like Naruto and Bleach were like those first anime I heard of, but I never got into them because I didn't really have the means to. And they were just like this super popular thing I'd heard about. So for me, like My Hero, Demon Slayer, things like that. Those were like the first anime and manga that I like got into. So for me, it's much easier to sort of hold up these newer series on a pedestal without worrying about the older stuff. Bleach, for me, it was almost like a case study, going back and reading this legendary series and seeing what I thought about it. So it's not even remotely the same for me. Like the people who were around when like, oh God, what was it? I understand there was 1 week where you had Ichigo, or you had Okiura go into his second resurrection, and then you had stuff happening in Naruto and One Piece in the same week. And that's like unimaginable for me to think about happening.
Oh my God, dude, you're making me feel so nostalgic right now. I remember those good old days where Naruto was fighting Pain at the same time where Ichigo was fighting Ulquiorra. Man, that was amazing.
Yeah, it was the highlight. Basically, you're talking about one of the what almost everybody considers the best fight in Naruto, going on with the Ulquiorra fight with Ichigo, which is considered another one of the best fights in Bleach, going on at the same time. It was just, yeah.
Another thing, Misk. That's another thing that you had. You had an era where we have people from 3 different fandoms comparing all the series like One Piece, Bleach, and Naruto. So there was something special about that. People were comparing different things, and that makes the whole experience a lot more powerful and memorable. And now these days, the closest thing we have to that is people comparing My Hero Academia to Black Clover, for example. And it's pretty much a retread of the Naruto versus Bleach rivalry back in the day. That's the problem. A lot of the things these days don't really have too much of their own identity from what came before. So, and we have to also keep in mind this. Misk, you are lucky because of the fact that you're getting into these things as of now. Therefore, your experience is different from that of the two of us.
Yeah.
Because we've experienced a lot, and therefore, when we experience new things that come along, they might not be as good as what came before, and that can sour our opinions. So we have to keep in mind that a lot of these series like My Hero Academia and Black Clover are also meant for a new generation of readers. they're not just targeted at the old readers like me and Griever.
Yeah, they're
So
certainly not meant for us, and that's what I was saying. The same thing too is that maybe like when I read My Hero Academia, am I subconsciously comparing it to when I was reading Beelzebub and Toriko and Food Wars, and I don't like it as much? Am I even if I try not to actively do that subconsciously, I could still be doing that. Who knows? And Dragon's Rage and MC Dude here in the chat are saying basically the same thing. They're saying I like the fact that new mangaka are getting a chance to shine. And another issue is that manga publications rose to prominence with a generation that has grown up and has responsibilities and less time now. And it's much more difficult to appeal to the next younger generation than it was to appeal to us because we, were more limited. Once again, technology booms, and other things, older style of ways of doing things wane. So it's definitely a very more difficult thing now more than ever. Thankfully, because of the gap that needed filling, manga is still going on the rise, and in Western culture, it's bigger than it's ever been before. So I don't think like manga's hurting or anything like that, but I do understand the idea that now they're not trying to. One of the big things is that new series are not trying to appeal to me being 29 years old. They're trying to appeal. Shonen is meant for people in their teenage years. So they're trying to appeal to a 16-year-old boy, not a 29-year-old adult married man with, too much hair, on his body. So, like, you have to, realize that as well. So maybe I'm judging them too harshly from my old man opinion when if I had been introduced to Black Clover when I was 13 instead of Bleach, or something, maybe I would like it a lot more than I do. Like, and I recognize that that's a possibility. And then maybe subconsciously I'm just sitting there, like that old man is like, this isn't music sort of attitude, the young people, this isn't music. Music is Elvis Presley, that kind of, though Elvis was the king. But still, like, maybe I have that opinion on manga. Maybe I'm sitting back subconsciously and I got a little old man in a chair and a cane going like, no, fuck all the new manga. The new manga sucks. Nothing will touch my manga. My manga's the best manga. Maybe I got that on me. I don't know.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, reading some of the newer stuff, like when I watched My Hero last summer and some of the stuff I've read through recently, I definitely feel like I kind of relate to it very easily. And I don't know if it would be as easy for you guys to do that just because, like, you're not in the same demographic as me.
Right.
Exactly.
Like, most shonen main characters are in my demographic. So a lot of the stuff they go through is something that I can relatively relate to, minus like all the superpower fighting stuff. But yeah, I assume like for me, it's just much easier to get invested in these things than it is for you guys.
And that's why Tenryo and we also felt that same way, but the previous generation of manga. Because we were in that demographic 10 years ago. We're not in that demographic anymore, right? So as you just said, Miss, you are in that demographic now, so you're feeling the same way relatively. I'm not saying you feel the same way, but you are getting the same experience, lesser or more so than we got for the big three. You're getting that with the new generation of manga, that has followed. And because shonen at the end of the day is not a genre, it's a demographic. It's meant for people under the age of 20. I'm almost 30. I should be not reading shonen. Not that you can read whatever you want, right? I've always been of that opinion. But at the end of the day, this stuff is not written for me. So maybe I actually this has been very insightful because honestly, maybe I should take a hard look at my opinions, and maybe I'm being too harsh, or maybe I'm being too judgmental on the new series. Though at times I don't feel like I am, because the new series Ayakashi Triangle, which I have been reviewing since chapter 1 in Shonen Jump, I have done nothing but praise it thus far, and I also have enjoyed Dr. Stone since it came out. So there is that. So I don't think I'm completely like gone too far in one direction, like far left, far right, whatever they call that shit in
You're
politics.
actually on the right track, honestly. You're on the right track because same thing here. I'm a little jaded as well, but I'm still enjoying most of the series that I'm reading right now. It's just that most of it doesn't match up with what came before. But I'm gonna say this, Griever. I totally understand what you said when you were talking about how okay, I'm subconsciously trying to compare My Hero Academia with Beelzebub or Toriko. That's literally what I was doing with Jujutsu Kaisen on 2018, where I was like, okay, I'm gonna read this because I need a new Toriko, and it wasn't that. So after I got done actually liking Toriko again this year, I'm like, okay, I could just take Jujutsu Kaisen as its own thing, and I could enjoy it more. So I totally get what you're saying, dude. Sometimes we need to scratch that itch for what came before, and it isn't there anymore. So it's normal for people to do that. That they always want to find like what is replacements for this thing that isn't around anymore.
I
But yeah,
all I need in manga again, and I can honestly say I have read all of Black Clover and all of My Hero Academia. And though Yami from Black Clover has been close to doing this, that's not enough for me. We need more of this. I need a main character that Deku and Asta, neither one of them have had that around the back moment where they sit there and go, "What did you say, you little shit?" Where's that moment? Every
You need to
manga.
read Jujutsu Kaisen. I'm gonna recommend it to you again. There's a moment that happens like 30 chapters in. Tenryu, you probably know what I'm talking about.
I will. I'm definitely. That's still on my read list. So no spoilers. But that's what I'm saying. Like maybe I missed that one. But as I said, I've read a lot of the current mangas, and nobody's got that moment. Like there should be 3 or 4 of them throughout a series with different characters, but always a main character. Deku and Asta have not done that, and that's what's missing. Is that where's Ichigo stepping up and being like, "That wasn't your sword. That was my sword." Sort of like, and you hear number one playing in the background. Or you get Beelzebub, you get Olga. You just tried to kill her, you little bitch. What the, and he speed blitzed, grabbed her bridal style. I'm like, you just tried to kill her, you little bitch. And then he calls him a pissant. I'm like, where's that badassery where that dude's like, you really want to fuck with me? And there's no filter on these guys. They're just like, I will fucking kill you. Where's that? I need that moment. Like.
Okay. Yep. All right. Yep.
We need that.
yeah.
No, it's in there. Tenryu, you know what I'm talking about right now?
I kind of
recall?
forgot. No, I forgot a little. Sorry, it's been a while since I finished reading the whole manga. And in fact, if you say it was 30 chapters in, then yeah, I read those 30 chapters like last year, and I finished,
Oh, okay. That's understandable.
I finished catching up to Jujutsu Kaisen this year after I was done with everything else.
I think they
But-
changed it for the official translation, but there is a line where the main character says, "I'm gonna fucking kill you."
But yeah, that's also part of the thing that makes us feel a little bit jaded. That basically a lot of the older series do a multitude of things that are special or are extraordinary. For example, in something like Toriko, I'm spoiled by that series and want to see more series take notes from that because they build up certain things in a way that you cannot see anywhere else. For example, in Toriko, there's this giant force that created a footprint that lasted for 2,000 years, and it emanates an aura that can crush you. It can almost kill you, and it can warp the environment around it. And I'm like, holy shit, I've never seen that in any other series. Dragon Ball is supposed to be the inspirational thing for hype, but why can't more series take note of Toriko, how it does hype? A footprint can emanate so much power. I mean, that's the kind of thing that makes me feel a little like, okay, why can't I see more series try to do that? So I don't see the same thing over and over again. So that's the kind of stuff that makes Griever and I be like, okay, can we try to find something else right now these days that can compare to that? So
One of the biggest problems is that back in the day, and I'm not blaming new manga for this. Old manga did it too. Dragon Ball Z did it, Bleach did it, Naruto, everybody does it. They take an existing story that nobody's ever fucking heard of in the West, and they make a manga out of it. Kingdom is the history of China. Fictional interpretation, but that's all Kingdom is. It's the history of the unification of China. It's in history. They change the names of the characters and they fabricate poetic license, but that's what it is. Dragon Ball Z is Journey to the West. Bleach is the story of Buddhism, Shintoism, and what happens after you die. There's a lot of unoriginality. Naruto, my God, how many things based off Japanese mythology? There's not a single original goddamn attack name in fucking Naruto. Naruto is based in all Japanese Shintoism. But the idea is that worked for many years because the Japanese readers would be like, this is hype. I've heard the stories of this in the same way that here in the West, Jesus, the God, that kind of shit, right? Oh, it was Moses, right? In Japan, they know Susanoo and they know these little stories, right? So to them, it's like, oh, cool reference. To us, it's like, wow, this is brand new. We've never fucking heard about this before. Now, it's come to a point that the manga community in the West has grown so much, and most, especially YouTubers, are educated on Japanese history and mythology. Now there's no mystique anymore. Now there's no mystery. Dragon Ball's not so original anymore. It's based on a book called Journey to the West with the Monkey King, and all that stuff. Even the name, Son Goku, is the Monkey King, right? It's not as original as you used to think. And all this stuff. These aren't new stories. And the problem is now we forgive that, but now we're so critical of the new stories coming out. We're so critical of the new manga who are they're trying to go halfway between, okay, we need to be original, but not too original because then we won't get picked up. We got to bring some anime tropes into it, but at the same time, we got to be original. It's got to be very difficult to be a mangaka right now because either you're going to feel like the fan base is either going to call you a carbon copy of ABC series, or they're going to say you're too weird, you're too out there. This isn't manga. There's that very gray, very thin line to follow. So I actually feel sort of bad for the mangakas right now. I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but I just think that it's got to be very difficult for them.
I just kind of feel bad for weekly mangakas in general because, I don't know, did you ever see Yu Yu Hakusho's author? He made the equation for how much free time weekly manga authors have. Have you ever seen that?
I didn't see it, but I know that they get 0 time.
Yeah, he said they get 5 hours of free time a week. I can't even imagine being a weekly shonen author. It sounds unbearable. So I feel bad for them in general. But it seems like Shonen Jump is trying really hard to find a new big thing. And apparently they just keep axing new series. They'll give a series 10 chapters and then cut it if it's not immediately blowing up. They're trying really hard to find a new thing right now.
Shonen Jump is just as bad as the people that hype up, oh, this is the greatest thing in the spring anime. It's that's not even a thing. When did that, that's one thing, I'll just go on a quick tangent here. When did that become a thing? Seasonal anime. Oh, there's the spring anime, the fall anime, their goddamn Western TV shows. That was never a thing. When did that start? It's no, it's an anime. It comes out, you watch it. It's based on a manga or a light novel. It's not.
I guess that started when they started doing traditional series, because I know back during the times of Bleach and Naruto, they just kind of kept running. I know they still do it with One Piece, but they would just run it. Filler anime episodes is a weird concept to me now, because when an anime comes out that I watch, I get 25 episodes, and then I wait a year for a new season. So there's never any filler. They're just waiting for the author to make new stuff.
Which is funny because our generation would complain about that, but now I complain about the system they're doing now more than I complained back in the day. So I guess we didn't really know what we wanted. Or at least I didn't, because I complained about filler all the time. But now I'm just what's with this seasonal anime crap? Oh, the best spring anime. Oh, the best fall anime. And Shonen Jump's no better. They're we're looking for the best new thing. Here, we're hyping this up. This is our pedestal. I understand they're a business. They're trying to market. But at the same time, it's if you don't have the new iPhone yet, don't promote the iPhone 8.224, you know? Wait until you get iPhone 9, then start hyping me up, right? Like,
Well, I
anyways.
will be fair. I will say that I'm actually fine with the idea of seasonal anime because it gives the animators and all that stuff, the crew, more time to work and give us a better product. Because if we do, we get something like Dragon Ball Super, which was continuously running and the production was very bad. But at the same time, I would like a series that is consistently running, like Naruto and Bleach back in the day, and that is good. And we don't really get that anymore. We have to basically get like 24 episodes, and then it goes away for like a full year. And I'm like, man, that's kind of a bummer in the grand scheme of things. I see both sides of the argument, honestly. That's
Yeah,
the good thing about that's actually the good thing about Shaman King. Shaman King doesn't seem to be like it's gonna be like a 24 episode season. It's gonna be like, okay, we're gonna adapt the whole thing and probably with consistent production values. And that's what I'm looking for. And
yeah,
I haven't
because
even read Shaman
the whole
King.
thing's already done. That's why the whole thing's already done, so they know they're not like have to judge or do filler. They can basically be like, all right, let's just animate the whole series. When we're done, we'll start producing it. Like if you were a smart production company, what you would do is you would animate more than half of the series and only release. You know what Netflix is doing right now, and it's just some of the smartest things I've seen. They release half seasons of shit. So it gives people a break. It's like, yeah, okay, we already produced this whole season. We just need to do some post production, some bullshit. But you know what we'll give you? We'll give you the first 5 episodes on Netflix. Wait until 6 months. We'll give you the rest of the season. Like, people might be mad about that system, but you know what it does? It means that the quality is there. So any problems and any feedback, they can fix it before post production. It's the smartest thing to do in the world. Like, like it's a smart marketing tactic because not only are you still already got your contract, you already figured out what people are gonna do. Look at the Sonic thing. Look at the Sonic trailer. Everybody hated it. DeviantArt, people on DeviantArt made Sonic what he was supposed to be like. 2 months later, they made Sonic look like that. You know what they did? They did that intentionally. They did it intentionally. They weren't trying to piss off fans. That wasn't the final product. They were basically like, I don't know. I can't really get the Sonic design down. Let's release a pre-early trailer and let's make them get it right for us. The internet will go wild. They'll fix it. We'll copy what they did. And they did. That's exactly what they did. They copied what DeviantArt did for them. And then they were like, okay, here's the real Sonic. It was the smartest marketing strategy to make fans happy I've ever seen in my life. Because you didn't need to recast anybody. You don't need to recast. You don't need to redo scenes. It's a CGI character with voiceover. You can fix that shit in 6 months. Right? So it was the smartest marketing strategy I ever seen in my life. And I called it out when I first saw that shitty trailer. It's on this channel. I called it out then. I was like, there's no way. There's no way this is real. This is the smartest thing they've ever done. And then I was right, and I made a video about that. I was like, called it. So, yeah, hopefully the anime production companies start doing that because I mean, look at the abysmal stuff we got with Seven Deadly Sins. Like, there was no excuse for that though.
Didn't they get ripped off to a different animation company? I didn't follow the
Yeah,
series. I think
twice.
that was what happened.
And then
my god.
Then then that third company had basically like only a quarter of the time to make the whole season, and it was just shit.
Oh Jesus.
Like, and I kept saying, I reviewed the whole season, and I kept saying, like, this is shit, but we cannot blame the animators necessarily because they aren't at fault, because somebody said, no, we're still going to get this product out, Like, I'm telling you right now, I don't care who you are, if I get a job, like, if I'm going to wire your house, and you tell me you have to have this whole house wired by tomorrow, I'm going to be like, that's just not going to happen. Like, I'm just going to tell them, no, sorry. Because I'm an electrician. I'd be like, I'm not going to get it done by tomorrow. Even if I work all day and all night, it's not going to be done. I can't do 3 weeks worth of work in a day. Sorry. I just can't, no matter how hard I work. And, so.
I was just thinking about that. I was just thinking about animes getting traded off to different production companies like after the first season or two. When I was just watching the second episode of Jujutsu Kaisen the other day, they were going through a fight scene, and I was like, "Holy shit, this looks amazing!" And then for some reason, in the back of my mind, I thought, "Oh God, what if this gets pawned off to like some C-rate animation company next season?" And I was just like, "Oh my God, that would be the worst thing ever." I
Which
would have
Yeah.
to. It would be terrible if they did that.
could happen.
With One Punch Man, the first season was animated by Madhouse, and it had god production values. But then when the second season came out, the production values were not as good, and everybody hated the second season. People only care about good animation and good choreography in fights. Which, okay, that's fair enough.
I
We
mean, it's
need
a
good
visual
choreography.
media, so you kind of have to expect that.
Yeah,
It's
but
like how
the
mangas
first
that have
season came
shitty
out.
art probably won't do too well unless it has like an unbelievably good story.
Exactly.
But the thing is, the second season of One Punch Man was not badly animated. It was just wasn't as well animated as the
Yeah,
first
I've
season.
seen that.
But
It looks
the
pretty
production values
average.
were actually acceptable even then. But people want 10 out of 10 animation all the time. If it doesn't have Demon Slayer animation, it's gonna be garbage. That's how people operate these days. Seriously,
Not
it's
exactly.
I
annoying.
Not
think that
exactly.
I think a
Tenryo.
lot of animes are just a victim of like when you have something out that is like a new level of animation. When you have a new series that has like ridiculously good animation, you get it trending #1 on Twitter or whatever, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, this is amazing." You create a new like standard for everyone else, and this applies to a lot of other types of media where you have something out that's like a game changer, and it raises the standard for everyone else to try and match that. That's just the
Plus,
result of how it works now.
if you have a uh, an anime season like One Punch Man, see, One Punch Man season 2 only got flack because season 1 was amazing. It's the only reason the season 2 got flack. So I understand the outrage there because not only do you have what is considered the best art current running in manga, now you have it anime adapted, people loved it, and then you went and did mediocre animation. Like, acceptable, let's go with acceptable quality of animation, but it's not fire. People are going to be pissed about that because they expect their series. But at the same stretch, as we talked about before, you mentioned Dragon Ball Super. Dragon Ball is worth more money than goddamn One Punch Man. You think they could afford a better production company? They didn't. So, like, at the end of the day, I don't expect. This is the problem with anime. This is the big problem, is that it's based on the animation quality. It's not based on story or whatever. Seven Deadly Sins Season 3 were some of the highlights of the story of the Seven Deadly Sins manga. But it was abysmal to watch. It should have been fire.
Exactly.
But that is a serious problem, is that they're either not giving enough money or time to these production companies, or they're hiring hacks. I don't know what they're doing, but a lot of the time, and that's why, unless it's done by a reputable studio, I don't watch the anime anymore. I watched Dr. Stone anime, it was done well. I watched the Food Wars anime, it was done well. I don't watch the other ones because I don't expect anything great. I did sit through season 3 of Seven Deadly Sins, and I nearly wanted to blow my brains out. So, and it was some of my favorite parts in the manga are in that season, and that.
Since we're on the topic of, oh, you finish. Sorry, I
No,
interrupted you.
that's it.
Since we're on the topic of really good manga getting anime adaptations, what studio would you want to do a Shumatsu no Valkyrie adaptation? And how would you want them to do it? Would you want them to do like a season thing and then like wait for them to do a few more fights, or should they do OVAs, or should they just like wait till the whole thing's done and animate it?
Yeah,
OVAs.
they should animate it until it's over.
OVAs, honestly, yeah, I think they could do like a Hellsing Ultimate thing, where Hellsing Ultimate came out in like 10 OVAs. They released them like every 7 months.
Who did Ultimate? Was
they
that
could totally
Madhouse?
do like an OVA per fight.
Who did Hellsing? Was that Madhouse?
I think that was Madhouse. I've heard Madhouse has gone to shit recently. Like they only have like 1 out of 10 of their animes are good. I don't know what happened with them. I've heard a lot of people saying if the Madhouse that did Hellsing Ultimate did Shumatsu, it would be great because they could get the weird faces down.
Yes,
But yeah, I don't know
exactly.
if they could do it today.
Perfect. Perfection. That's a perfect matchup. Madhouse with what's it called? Show us one of Valkyrie. Absolutely.
Yeah. If they could get that Helsing, because the Helsing Ultimate vibe was perfect. The way they animated that was goddamn perfect. They get that animation quality like they did for Ultimate down. That's all they need. Do it in OVAs. Do some 50-minute goddamn episodes. Cover a fight an episode. Right? Don't try to stretch this shit out because that's where the quality drops. You get a 1 hour slot per fight, 4 hours so far. 4 hours. That's all you get. Could you cover Shimatsu no Valkyrie in 4 hours? I think you could. You could get it epic fights. You could get perfect dialogue. You could get all the animation you wanted. Within 4 hours, we should be caught up to the end of the Herc versus Jack fight. Still feel the emotional ties, the animation, the fights. Everything should be done fine. 4-ish hours. So you make each OVA is one fight. I think it will work out just fine.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good. That sounds like a pretty solid plan. I don't know why I didn't consider that sooner. By the way, what's like your current like ranking of the fights from worst to best? Like I would assume, do you have Herc versus Jack as your favorite, or Adam versus Zeus?
Adam Zeus, that's a good question. Actually ask a pretty good question there, my friend.
God damn.
Maybe we should start with the ones that you don't think are the best. Like from bottom up, what would you rank them?
It's still a hard question.
You could choose to include the current fight whether you want or not,
The
because
current
I don't know if
fight-
we can really judge it till it's done.
Okay, it goes Thor fight on the bottom. No fight is bad in Valkyrie. Let's just say that right now. No fight
Oh
has
yeah,
been
they're
bad.
all at least like at the very least like a high B tier. I think
Right.
Lubu versus Thor is like a high B tier fight.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's
I
still a
like
great
that
fight.
fight, but compared to every fight since, it is the lowest tier. So
Yeah, I think it's because the author was trying to figure out what they were doing with it, and then
Right,
once they
like,
got
they
it, they were like,
didn't know.
"All right, nice," and then went right into Adam versus Zeus.
right, exactly. Then they went into the hype mode. So it would go that, then the current fight, Raiden. I mean, you could kind of interchange those two, I think, currently, but we haven't seen the end of this fight, so.
Yeah.
But
I think this fight is a victim of bad pacing. Introducing
It's
the
really
side plot
bad.
stuff really fucked it up. We would be at where we are now like 2 months ago if it wasn't for the side story stuff.
Yep. So we got those two on the bottom. Then I would say it's, of course, like in the middle. On third place is easily Sasaki versus Poseidon. Solid 3. And then, is it Adam or Herc? Ooh. See, if everybody would accept that Herc chose not to kill Jack at the end of the fight, like I'm telling them is fact, then it's the best fight. But since the community refuses to believe that clear fact, I'll have to put it in second place. But I'm okay with Jack winning the fight. I was standing Herc the whole time. But I'll put the Adam versus Zeus fight as the number one fight. It had the most hype. Because in all honesty, I had a lot of problems with the Jack versus Herc fight. Because
I have problems with the two, and that's why I can't make it my number one.
yeah, I can't make it my number one, even though I think Herc is my favorite character through Valkyrie right now. It's something about Herc. I love Heracles. I think he's amazing.
It's really funny. There's a guy on the Shumatsu server that really hates Hercules. It's kind of funny, like every time we bring it up. I think his explanation is that he just feels really out of place in the series because he's basically a shonen MC in a seinen manga.
No,
That's
that's
basically-
inaccurate. Completely inaccurate.
I mean,
Or
he
I
sort
think he
of.
also thinks he's a hypocrite for various reasons, but I don't think we should get into it now.
No. I gotta read the chat really quick. Also, because Dragon's Rage gave me a great idea to title this stream the psychology of a manga reader, and I did change the title. That was a smart idea.
Yeah, I
Um,
think I accidentally turned this into like some sort of philosophical discussion on the manga industry.
that's okay. That's okay. Actually, this stream has gone over an hour longer than I intended. My dinner's cold as fuck. But we got Dragon's Rage also saying, "Don't remind me of the Seven Deadly Sins anime." Good God, Escanor versus Meliodas, teardrop, absolutely. MC Dude says a good adaptation can do so much. Just look at Demon Slayer. Exactly, Demon Slayer is probably not that good. I haven't seen or watched it, or read it, but apparently, once again, a great adaptation. Once again, same with One Punch Man. Great art can make a mediocre story fire very easily. So a good animated story can make it. Look, you animate anything with Disney quality, you're gonna get a fire fucking movie. Doesn't matter what the movie's about. So, MC Dude also says some people like to complain and hype things naturally. That's true. I think everyone just wants the best for the properties they like. Absolutely. Madhouse for Record of Ragnarok, no question, says Dragon's Rage. MC Dude also says, would it surprise you at all if I said that One Punch Man Season 1 is what got me into anime manga? Wouldn't surprise me at all. That's what a lot of people are doing right now. I'm sure there's a generation of people that are getting into anime and manga because of the Demon Slayer adaptation. Because it's well animated and everybody hyped it up to shit. MC Dude also says, say what you will about One Punch Man, but it's very accessible. Yeah, because it's simple in its premise, and it's unrivaled in terms of pure spectacle, thanks to Murata. I would argue Sun Ken Rock, but that's on a lower scale. But I would still argue that he's as good an artist. Dragon's Rage also says, I would prefer if they had made it a series. I don't mind extending fights as long as they are cool. Yep. And Dragon's Rage also said, my ranking for Record of Ragnarok fights would be number 1, Adam versus Zeus. Number 2, Lu Bu versus Thor. Very
that's
interesting.
a rare one
That's a rare number 2. And number 3, Sasaki versus... Yeah. Oh, wait. Sorry. Dragon's Rage corrected himself. Sorry, I meant Jack versus Herc on number 2. Okay, I was about to say, yeah, because Misk himself was just like, wow, that's rare.
Like, I've heard people say it's their favorite or close to their favorite, but it's like a really slim minority.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, one thing I really like about the Lubu versus Thor fight is that it actually has a very good thematic purpose, because this series is trying to examine the difference between the gods and the humans. But this fight actually showed us that humans and gods can share similar desires, because we have Thor and Lubu who are bored with their existences because they don't find any rivals, and therefore that's what they did in their fight. They found the pleasure and happiness in the fact that they found someone to compete against. And I'm like, okay, I see what they were going with there. Because, well, they may be different species and all that stuff, but they still have a similar main desire. So that was a really clever way to have us, know that gods and humans are not so different after all. They don't have to be. So that's a really good way to look at it.
I have to say, every time I go back and read the Thor versus Lubu fight, I find that I liked it more than I thought I did. I don't know what it is. But if you'll notice, pretty much everyone that wins a fight has the most character development. He who develops more will be the victor. I've noticed that to be the pattern with these fights. So Thor found someone that he could respect and as an equal. I mean, Zeus was literally humbled by Adam. Like
Yes.
his outlook on humans is completely different after the second fight. Kojiro decides that he finally wants to win for once, and we have Jack, who is actually feeling remorse for killing someone now and is reconsidering his entire worldview. I mean, Jack probably has the most development out of any character in the series so far. So yeah, I mean, which is why at this rate I think she was probably going to win.
The series is really good at showing us the differences and similarities between the gods and the humans, and how they can change each other, and why humanity should not be exterminated. Honestly, it's really clever. Shimatsu no Valkyrie is not just mindless entertainment, people. There is a theme and a purpose to this series.
There's a theme. Every fight has a theme. I feel like with the way they're building, with how the gods always turn out at the end of each fight, that, like, regardless of what happens at the end of the series, the gods are going to decide to spare mankind because they're going to have their opinions changed on them. Because at the beginning of the series, they're like, oh man, these humans suck. They're the worst. After, like, literally fighting them to death in a tournament, they've come to have a better understanding of that, which is great stuff.
Yes.
Sorry, guys. I just had to step out for a second. Got a phone call, but yeah. So at the end of the day, I know you guys probably moved on there, but at the end of the day, I just want to quickly say that yeah, I'm pretty confident in those rankings. Adam versus Zeus as the top because the Herc fight has so much controversy around it, and in all honesty, I had so many issues with the Herc fight. I love Jack and I love Herc, but I felt like there was a lot of bullshit that happened in that fight, and it's the only fight I feel like there was bullshit that happened that I was like, really? And I mean, if you guys go back and watch my reviews or my live streams and stuff, you guys will see what I'm complaining about. I'm not going to reiterate it here. But so that actually, honestly, as a fight, that definitely takes it out of first place easily, no question. Actually, I could almost say I think I enjoyed the actual fight between Poseidon and Sasaki better than I actually enjoyed the fighting aspect. But I like the characters of Jack and Heracles way more than Poseidon and Sasaki.
For my ranking, I would probably have Thor versus Lubu at the bottom for, like, kind of obvious reasons. The two of them are not the most interesting characters in the world, and the fighting itself is not, like, the most dynamic choreography. And then I would have the current fight after that. I'm hoping we get more hype. It's undeniable that the current fight has the best art in the series, which is, like, not surprising at all because it's the most current.
But we haven't actually seen them fight yet.
Back and you compare the art from the current fight to, like, the art from Thor versus Lubu, it looks like a completely different series. It's absurd how much the art is improved.
That happens when you're drawing so much, right? But I will say this right now is that I'm still giving a lot of optimism towards this fight, the current one, because right now it's just been a slugfest, and we already had that with Zeus and Adam.
Yeah,
it's not going to be that. They haven't
we
even
are getting
tried.
A bit more, like,
we didn't see their superpowers yet, right?
With, like, all the different moves.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like we haven't seen
weird.
Shiva
Ren
do a
hasn't
superpower.
Really done sumo moves.
Right.
Yeah, Shiva hasn't even done a named move yet.
Right,
so
no name moves.
Once we pull out the named moves, we're getting serious. But my top three fights are all really close. And this is probably going to be the most controversial opinion you're going to hear on the stream. But as my number three, I have Adam versus Zeus. Yeah, I know that's a real controversial one there. I think I like Adam's amazing, and I think the fight itself is very exciting, but I find the choreography is not as interesting as some of the other fights, because it's just them throwing the same exact moves back at each other, but the way that they portray it is very exciting. I talked about it in my video. Once you get into, like, the final act of the fight, it's just like a constant tension build. Like, it just keeps going up and up and up until you have, like, the moment where Adam's eyes break, and it's insane. But also, actually, I guess that's the whole thing, really. For my number two, I have Jack versus Heracles, mostly for the reasons that you've established as it being the number two. I think it probably has some of the best fighting choreography. Like, out of all of them, I think it just has the most dynamic.
It was the most interesting
fighting out of all of them. Yeah,
it was clearly, like, undoubtedly the most creative, the most interesting, the most, like, adaptability. Like, everything else has been a slugfest, right? And this one was not.
The environment, they drew the city of London. It's unbelievable, unbelievable. And also, it's the only fight at the time that you can reasonably root for either side. Like, you can make a case for wanting Jack or Heracles to win.
Absolutely. Because they're basically fighting for the same reasons, but Jack's fighting for the wrong ones and Herc's fighting for the right ones, but he's on the wrong side. It's just like, what do you do? Yeah. That's what's almost pushing that up to number one for me.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, but so
And my
Sasaki
favorite is
versus
actually,
Poseidon.
yeah. So I think the actual fighting in Sasaki versus Poseidon is probably as good as Adam versus Zeus, but I like Kojiro more than Adam, I think. I think Kojiro is probably my favorite character in the series. I just find him so endearing. I think he has the best backstory, maybe rivaled by Jack. Um, and I just thought that the ending, chapter 19, is in my opinion the best chapter in the whole series so far. Like the emotional high I got from chapter 19 has not been matched by anything so far. It was amazing.
Well, I can honestly say I'll respect all of those opinions very easily because all of these fights, like, there's no one bad fight. So your ranking system is completely fine. I know a lot of people would there are quite a few people that would actually I think agree with you. So many people loved the Sasuke versus Poseidon fight, especially if you go back. A lot of people now might rank it different, but you go back. You go back before the Herc Jack fight happened. So many people, when the hype was up there for that fight, they were putting that above Adam and Zeus. So, I mean, it's totally understandable because so many people really enjoyed that fight. Um,
Yeah.
it was the
I don't
first
know if you've
human
heard of
win.
any of this, but after the Adam versus Zeus fight, people were very, very salty about Adam dying, which is like a little understandable. But you gotta understand that they're going for like a narrative, thematic message here, and having
Well,
Adam beat Zeus in the second fight would be really weird from like a storytelling standpoint. Like that would kind of fuck everything up right from the get go.
I thought it'd
And
be a
there were a
tie.
lot of
In all honesty,
I
I
don't know if they'll do a tie. I feel
see.
like a tie may be a little bit of a thematic cop out where the author just goes, well, both sides are equally understandable. So nobody wins and nobody loses.
Yeah,
And that would also kind of mess up the whole having an odd number of rounds thing. I think you've gotta have like a tie for the like 6-6 last round. You've gotta have that drama for the very last one. I think that's essential.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. But I mean, just if we forget that this is a story, for example, because this
Yeah,
author has done so much with the poetic license of how the gods are, how they behave, their mythologies, their stories, the human histories, all these things. I wouldn't be surprised if they wanted to pull something out of his ass and be like, no, no, no. You guys thought we were seeing all 13 fights? No. They're going to win by fight 11. I could see that. You know why? Unprecedented. You want shock value, that's what you do. You end it before you expect it. So
Yeah, I don't
um,
know because
I'm
when you
not
reveal the
against it.
names of all the fighters in like the fourth chapter, I bet there would be some people
Exactly.
that are disappointed by the end.
Yeah.
Like if they don't get to see everyone fight, there would be people that'd be pissed off.
Oh, so many. But right now, as you just said, there's people pissed off on their favorite character didn't win the fight. So, I mean,
Yeah,
I was what I liked is that I consider that Adam. Some people disagree with me on this one, but I always said that none of the gods outside of Odin and Zeus are the only two that could have beaten Adam. And that is why Zeus went down when he realized that Adam was going to fight and he did a pinch hit. There was no other reason.
it's
At the end of the day, everybody tries to explain away that the Shiva scene with Zeus and all that shit, and it's like blah blah blah. You can see this, you can see that. Shiva's not afraid of Zeus, blah blah blah. He does it on a whim, blah blah blah. But I'm like, but why did Zeus do that? Zeus
I
did
think it's
it for
really
one reason.
weird
You know.
that when they're in the middle of the fight, Zeus does not understand what Adam is doing. It's really weird because you would think that if he knows it's Adam and what his abilities are, that he wouldn't be surprised by what he's doing, but he is. So unless that's like a plot hole on the author's part,
I don't think
I
it's a
feel like
plot hole.
it's
I think he knew Adam was so goddamn dangerous. He didn't know his powers. He did
that's plausible too.
I'm totally with that. Zeus did not know what Adam had eyes of the Lord. He did not know that. I'm still in agreement. But Zeus was so goddamn worried about losing a fight this early that he was like, no, no, no. That's Adam. File number 1. I gotta fight that dude. Like,
Yeah.
if anybody's gonna win, because he was nervous, because he didn't know his power, and he's like, Shiva's a cocky little shit stain, and he's gonna get fucked over before, even if Shiva could win against Adam, Adam's gonna fuck him up before he has the chance. So Zeus was worried. That's why he pinch hit. Zeus made that decision based on knowing that Adam was gonna fight. That's, at the end of the day, regardless of the scene that happened after with Adam and Shiva and people try to reinterpret that, I'm like, that is irrelevant. Go back a scene. Why did Zeus want to pinch hit? Why? Because he wanted to fight so eagerly? Oh, yeah, sure. The old man sitting up there enjoying watching the fights. Oh, no, I want to get in the game. I want to do this shit. He's not the god of war. So I never understood why people were so against that. So, at the end of this fight, we're going to see if Shiva could have beat Adam. That's what I'm so hyped about this fight for. I want to see what Shiva's powers are.
I have a feeling he probably won't. Unless Shiva pulls some magic shit out of his ass. If it's remember, a physical technique, Adam would have been able to copy it.
But we don't know. Eyes of the Lord can see all techniques. It doesn't need to be physical. He can copy anything he sees before they pull it off. It's never stated that it just has... It's not like Seven Deadly Sins full counter, it's only magical abilities or it's only physical. Eyes of the Lord is simply stated to, I can copy the ability and fucking do it before you do. So, I'm really curious to see what they're going to pull off in that stretch. Anyway, we also have Victor in here. Victor's in here who's making a bunch of noise with his microphone. And before we start talking to Victor, and he's going to argue every point I've ever made this entire stream, we're going to check the chat really quick with Dragon's Rage and MC Dude saying that Dragon's Rage loves Lubu. He thinks Poseidon had potential as a character. MC Dude says, I think there was some bull in that fight too, referring to when I said the Jack and Herc fight had some bullshit that went on. The only fight that really, I can question, wait a minute. Dragon's Rage says, I don't think the fight has any bull, or at least not as much as Griever sees. Fair enough. A lot of people argued with me when I was reviewing that fight. Did mishear something? I could have sworn I heard someone rank Adam versus Zeus as a number 3. I respect the opinion, though. Yes, Dragon's Rage, that was missed, and we do respect his opinion on that, because all these fights are fire, so it's very difficult to rank them.
I have to clarify again, it's a very close ranking. I think they're all easy S-tier fights. It's just the other two have things that make them more complex and interesting to me than Adam versus Zeus, even though I still think it's an amazing fight.
Fair point. So he also says a meh fight in Record of Ragnarok would be a top fight in some series. Absolutely. See, that's the thing. All these fights, we are judging these fights based on some top tier level shit. So it's very difficult. It's like I always say to, or maybe I shouldn't. Nah, fuck it, I'll say it. It's like I always say to my wife. I said, our level of mediocre sex to some people is porn star level sex. So, I mean, really, can you complain? You can't complain, really, So, might be a little bit of TMI there, but yeah, that's how I sleep well at night, guys. That level of ego. And Dragon's Rage also says at the end here, skipping fights in a series after a big tournament, I don't really think that's a good idea story-wise either. No, I'm not saying, but I'm saying if you went for shock value, I'm saying they could twist. This is probably referring to the tie stuff we were talking about. You could make it work. I guarantee you that this series is going to interrupt before Fight 13 happens. Just saying. Something's going to happen before Fight 13. The final arc or whatever, Because this series is too goddamn good to go on for only another couple of years with some fights. Seriously, we're into fight number 5. You telling me Valkyrie's going to end in another couple of years? Please, God, no. You know what I'm saying?
I think this Buddha plot stuff is what they're going to use to lengthen it out. I think we're probably going to have a coup thing with Odin, and we'll get a bunch of God versus God shenanigans with that, and then we might get the last fight, or they'll substitute that for the last fight. Who knows? Depending on where they're going with the story.
That would be awesome.
Honestly, I have the theory that there are going to be angels in the story because there is some evidence that the Judeo-Christian God exists in this universe.
Well, there were angels in the stands when Adam fought, um, and with Beelzebub
There's
being there, depending
absolute.
on what he does,
It's
because
absolutely.
Beelzebub is such a weird
Yeah.
god to
Beelzebub is
have there
from the
because there's like a
Bible,
dozen
and
different
also
interpretations of him.
also forget like he's one of the seven crown princes of hell, or he's one of the other names for Satan or Lucifer.
Or
But
he's a pagan
also
deity. I
he's
think
a pagan deity.
they'll probably do a mix of them where
He's Lord of the
Beelzebub will be
Flies, you know.
yeah,
But
where Beelzebub was worshipped as like a pagan deity and then became one of the princes of hell or the devil or whatever, and it'll probably be something like that, I think.
But you also have to remember, also, of course, that's what I've always been asking since I started reviewing the series. Where's the Christian God? Where is he? Because he's here. Eyes of the Lord, people. Eyes of the Lord. Think about it. You have the chancellor of the gods sitting there, and he doesn't know about Adam's ability. Zeus fought Adam. Zeus is the chairman of all gods. He didn't know about Eyes of the Lord. Meaning that Eyes of the Lord came from the Christian God. Because he's Adam. Who
created mankind in this series is the weirdest thing ever, because they go with the biblical creation story, but at the same time you have like references to like primitive humans, like cavemen when they were still like monkey people. And then you have Shiva talking about evolving another species. So, like, did you evolve humans also? But then how does Adam fit into that? It's all very weird and confusing.
You know, it could be as simple as, like, I've always simplified this one time when I was a kid, actually, people talking about all these religions and shit. I was like, could it not be possible, like the Indian God created the people of India, the Christian God created the people of Israel, and the fucking Indian God created the people of North America? Would it not? Can it not be that simple? That, like, right now we are in Record of Ragnarok where we have all these. This is the ultimate God. This is the God of creation. There's multiple gods of creations. We already seen them. You got Odin, Shiva, and Zeus all chilling together. They all created. It's like, wait a minute, how is that possible? It's like, well, is it not possible that Zeus created the Greeks? Odin created the Norse? You know, is it not possible that all of them created humans, you know, but they created their own group of humans? Like, why does nobody go down that theory? It's pretty simple. It's pretty straightforward. You know, the Christian God created the Pakistans, and the fucking Asian God created the Asians. You know, it's like, it's not that difficult to understand that. You know, not to go on a racial thing, but why do people not all look like the face of God? You know, if we're all made in his image or whatever, you know, for the Christian God, it's like, well, because actually, you know, there's a Japanese God who created Japanese people. There's an Indian God who created the Indian people. There's a African God who created the African people, right? It makes more sense to understand it that way, right? Because Ra hasn't been introduced yet. We have Anubis, the god of death, but Ra created the Egyptians. Like, Jesus, we got so many creator gods here of humankind. I know what you're saying, Misk. It's like, what are we doing? You know?
Yeah, there's multiple gods serving the same purpose, much like in Marvel and DC, where we have multiple gods that are supposed to be like the supreme rulers of time and space. It's kind of like that, honestly.
I mean, in Marvel, it's kind of different because well, actually, no, it's kind of similar because they also have to get united when they have to decide something really big.
Oh yeah, the Sky Fathers. It's weird. Marvel has like, they made up pantheons for the alien races too. Like, they really thought it out for some of that stuff.
Yeah, a lot of that was done very well.
Yeah, honestly, it's very similar to DC.
It's a lot more organized in something like Dragon Ball, where they explain that there's a god of destruction and creation for every universe, only one for each, and an angel for each universe. But then we have something like in Marvel, DC, and Shumatsu no Valkyrie, where we have one universe that is populated by multiple gods that can serve similar purposes, and that can make it very confusing. For example, Odin is supposed to be like a god of war in Norse mythology, but we also have Ares, who is the god of war in Greek mythology, and it's like, but why do we need multiple gods having the same role or something? Or Shiva, he's the god of creation and destruction, and you're like, but wait, isn't the Judeo-Christian God the god of creation? It
Hmm.
can be confusing.
And
Well,
think
yeah,
about it
it's
this
weird
way.
too with how different pantheons work. With like, I think I brought this up in the comments on some of your recent videos, Griever, and I've talked about it in some of my videos. But the Hindu pantheon works a lot different from a lot of other pantheons, which is something we have to consider with how Shumatsu works with all the pantheons existing at once. Is that a lot of them function like fundamentally different from each other. So in
Hmm.
Hinduism, the gods are all aspects of gods on a higher level from them.
Hmm.
So, in theory, everyone is supposed to be an aspect of Shiva, which they're kind of doing now, where Shiva's like taken on the roles of all the other gods. So they're like kind of finding ways to explain it away.
Yeah, that's kind of a weird way they did that. But yeah, okay.
I mean, I think they either have their own realms, like Indians stay in India, Greeks in Greece, and all of that. So
Yeah,
I
during
can
the
I
Hertzsprung
can
story,
understand that way.
that was alluded
That
to
way
in
I
the
can
Hertzsprung
understand.
story, where they
Yeah,
talked
Yeah.
about how Thebes was in the Greek jurisdiction, so Shiva couldn't go there, or Loki couldn't go there.
Yeah.
exactly. But I mean, because when you look at it right now, in the list to fight is Susanoo. Susanoo is the god of storms. We just got introduced to this god of storms, though. It was Rudra, Shiva's best friend. So how do we have Susanoo, the god of storms? Like, because you have
That's what
Japanese
I'm.
and you have Indian. It's a totally different thing, right? Or Hindu, I should say. I should stop saying Indian. People get offended, even though I'm saying East Indian. But anyways, yeah. So absolutely. So I mean, I think we kind of have to take it all a bit with a grain of salt. Like, one of the big things is we should not be trying to like explain away how this all works necessarily until it becomes relevant to how it works. Right now, what we know is all of the people of human history are available on the human side. We have all the gods in any Wikipedia search on the god side. Accept that. Let's get it together. You know, I try not to look too deep into how the logistics of having all these religions and all these mythologies work at once, because if you do, at the end of the day, they don't. They're not supposed to. Zeus, literally, the Christian god's appearance was taken from the statue of Zeus. That's just a fact. Why do you think God has appeared, even in like Family Guy and stuff? He's appeared as a bearded old white dude. You want to know why? Because the most powerful figure on the known world at the time was the statue of Zeus. He's older than the Christian God. They took that from him. Halos. Halos came from Egypt. You know, like all these different aspects. The angel wings. You know, Egyptian once again. Like they've all morphed into each other anyways. There's no way to explain away everything, you know. So I just try to sit back and sort of enjoy the series and not try to think of the logistics of all these religions that are technically like all intermingled together anyways. It's just like you'll go on forever, and at the end of the day, I don't think anybody's going to reach any conclusion. At the end of the day, there's like 8 god of storms, there's 5 creationer gods, there's 7 gods of fire, there's 12 gods of war. We're just gonna have to accept it, you know, and move on. Like, rather than try to figure out, okay,
I mean,
Ares can do from this side of the Atlantic Ocean, but if he crosses over this side to the Pacific Ocean, ho, that's that just.
I mean, I think it seems that way because yeah, I think it's the way that I said it is because Indians stay in India, and so on, unless they are in a meeting or something like that, or if they, because I know in the chapter where Poseidon was meeting his brother, they were in heaven or something like that. So maybe there's another realm above that where all of them have their individual realms, like on Marvel. You know, Odin has his own realm with the 3 and his 12th realm. Zeus has his own universe and all of that. So maybe it's something like that too.
Yeah, see, and that's basically what I was saying. I was just kind of like, Susanoo is the god of storms in Japan, but he doesn't leave Japan. Japan is his realm. Rudra doesn't come over and be like, "Hey, Susanoo, how are you? I'm gonna cause a thunderstorm over Okinawa tonight," and he's like, "Go fuck yourself, Rudra. You're drunk." Like that doesn't happen because they stay to their own jurisdictions, right? Zeus is chilling on Mount Olympus, right? Like he's just chilling up there, and he doesn't leave, right? Then that's just how it works. So I've always been for that. Is that each area? I mean, it's not exactly country borders, but each area just has their own, and the gods don't leave that area. Simple as that. And it's just, the earth isn't controlled. There isn't one god who controls all of Earth, right? It's sectioned off. I mean, that just makes sense. We section it off now as human beings. Why would we think the gods wouldn't section it off, right? We're human beings.
Yeah.
We got like 400 countries on the face of one tiny little blue planet that's 70% water. And still somehow we section it off in over 200 different places. Like, why wouldn't the gods do the same thing? So that just makes sense to me. And that explains that easily. That's the easy explanation to explain away how they're all together and they all still have their titles that we know from their different mythologies. I'm good with that.
I might be crazy for saying this, but I actually would think it would be pretty interesting if they established that there were aliens in Shimatsu no Valkyrie, because why would the gods only create humans? Why wouldn't they create other life forms and have them fight against them in the tournament? I mean, that would actually be kind of interesting. I mean,
Wait a minute. We don't know that they haven't. We don't know that they haven't. They could be chilling, but for all we know, Mars has its own set of gods. So that's a whole other thing.
Oh no, they got Mars. Now that I think about it.
There you go.
I am of the opinion that there should be aliens in this series because I find it hard to believe that there's only one planet in the whole universe where the gods decided to put all the mortal life forms in it. Come on, guys, can't you create your own planets and then have them filled with different cultures and stuff? Come on, get creative here.
I mean, I'm not gonna disagree with that.
I mean, it would be interesting, but I would not want, and then suddenly aliens,
Yeah, I think I'm good with the whole that like I'm good with the realm we're in right now without dealing with the cosmos and all that shit. I'm good. Like, we'll introduce our Guardians of the Galaxy later in the manga, okay? Well, we'll do that shit and be like, oh my god, now we got Infinity Stones and multiple universes and all this shit. We'll deal with that level of Marvel crap later on in the series. For right now, we just got Earth gods with Earth humans and Earth problems, and I'm good with that.
Yeah, same here. I was just trying. I love throwing these completely absurd but kind of plausible scenarios for a series. I love doing that always. Like, one time I joked that, hey, what if there's a multiverse in One Piece? Because, well, just like in Toriko, and obviously it's stupid. It's a stupid idea for One Piece, but I still wanted to throw it out there. Because why not?
No, absolutely. You can always have fun throwing spitballing ideas sometimes. You never know. Either way, ladies and gentlemen, not that the boys need to be kicked out of the Discord or anything, but this stream went on 2 hours longer than I intended. So it is finally time for the end. I hope everybody enjoyed. Thank you for Chubb, Misk, Tenryo, and one above all, also known as Victor Von Dome, being here in the Discord chat and being here on the stream with me. It was a lot of fun. I figured this thing would only last 45 minutes. I'd get bored talking to myself. That'd be the end of it, but we had a great time. We talked about a lot of things. We had a good chat, show up, and all that stuff. Thank you for MC Dude and Dragon's Rage, my moderators, for showing up in the chat. Very much appreciated. And don't forget, guys, to like, comment, and subscribe as always. It was a lot of fun. I hope to do another stream like this relatively soon. I didn't know it would be as much fun or as much of a hit as I guess it turned into. But yeah, some more Discord streaming chats would be a lot of fun. So thanks, guys, everyone, for watching. I already think I shouted at everybody I was supposed to. And if I missed anybody, sorry about that. Drink responsibly as always, ladies and gentlemen. We will see you back here next time. Have a happy Thanksgiving if you're in Canada like I am. We'll see you next time. Peace out.
Peace out. See ya.